Howdy, folks. Welcome to Adventures in Alberon, our 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons game. I'm your Dungeon Master, Joe Treff, and joining me as always are Matt, Miles, Ali, and Tina, my friends. We're going to get into our game where we are in a little bit of downtime, and we're going to have Akka doing some alchemy in just a second, but first a couple of announcements. We have a Instagram, which is Alberon RPG or at Alberon RPG. It's actually like most of our social media stuff, but for a lot of the hand-drawn maps. I actually just remembered that I have a scanner, so we've been using that. There's actually like a whole thing. I'll get to that in a second. But all these hand-drawn maps and painted minis, and there are a lot of things that will be showing up probably after this session, depending on the pace that you all take. But we'll see. We'll get through. I realize that's much more ominous than I meant for it to be. It's not, or is it? Coming at some point this month, we have our enamel pins that are going to be coming out, which is going to be super cool. Those aren't for sale, but they're going to be going out to a couple of members of our community. So Talon, talked about a little bit, variety of people who have done art for us, people who have been in the one shots. It's kind of just a sign that you've been there. So that's really cool, and we'll show those when they come out. We also have on the website, which is alberonrpg.com, an entire write-up of the campaign so far. So, what is it, 26 months, 27 months worth of campaign, just all written, sort of the longest way that you could use to catch up. Or actually, you could go back to our YouTube and watch every single session, going back to session 1, which is technically session 16. But you could certainly do that. Alberon RPG on YouTube. And then finally, for our music and our sound effects and all that kind of stuff, for our theme song, which you should be able to hear in the background right now, we are using Sirenscape, which is a digital tool set of a variety of sound sets designed to match some specific D&D adventures. For the Frost Maiden series that just came out, there's pre-built sound sets to various encounters that you can find within the book, for example. Same thing with a lot of the pre-written adventures. And then there's also really cool stuff, like an entire panel of jazz music, which a lot of times these guys are subjected to before we start. And there used to be the best song of all time, but no longer.
R.I.P. Jungle 2.
Yeah, Jungle 2 is so good.
Jungle 2.wave.
Yeah,
Stole my heart.
The best of the waves.
It was too good, so they had to monetize it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, with that, thank you. With that, we can just jump into our recap. And we're already in our theme song, so I'll just jump right in. Finger Gang. When last we played, you were confronted by a huge adult white dragon in the inky blackness of night as the furious winds of the Squall, a blizzard that's raged for millennia, howled around you. This feral white, with crests of spines, fired bursts of cold energy that threatened to overtake you, indeed freezing Karanza Billows to the core, taking her out of the fight almost instantly. Morwen was terrified of the dragon. Not an uncommon theme. Memories of being snatched off a cliffside just months prior by a wyvern and dropped nearly to her death were it not for Heinrich, possibly contributing to that fear. Morwen was frightened for the duration of the battle, but used the dragon flagon, a enchanted stone flask shaped like a dragon that warms any liquid to 112 degrees Fahrenheit, to slowly attempt to thaw out Karanza, though it did not work very well. The dragon would use its wings to knock some of you over, vanishing into the swirling maelstrom around you. Hit and run attacks slowly taking their toll as the intense cold buffeted you, Morwen again mostly affected. But Heinrich, you cast Crown of Stars, creating a beacon of radiant teal celestial light in a place where visibility was almost non-existent. Coupled with eldritch blasts and a wall of light, you corralled the dragon and drew much of its attention. I'm going to pretend those were words. Much of this attention. I can't do it. Much of its attention. As the dragon began to feel the weight of Heinrich's blows, coupled with onslaughts of damage from Akka and a single flurry of blows from Shay that did a surprising amount of damage, he attempted to drag Heinrich into a nearby icy ravine. But Heinrich, with a belt of stone giant strength, you managed to stand your ground and stop the momentum of an adult white dragon cold. No pun intended. Just shifting you a few inches back. the tide began to turn, and as it did, the dragon took to the sky, intent on escaping to the Squall, to strike again later. Akka, you use your wings, boots, haste, action surge, multiple dashes, and a bonus action, all in a single turn, pushing 43.7 miles per hour to catch the dragon in a single moment mid-flight and engage it above the sightline of the rest of the party, despite an awesome attempt by Heinrich to throw Shay at the dragon, which real great. Akka, with blow after blow, you managed to best the white worm, slaying the beast, driving it down and into the ground. You all found rest after reviving Huron's billows from the ice block that she had been frozen into. Heinrich, you very much saving her life. You managed to find shelter for the evening after harvesting pieces of this dragon. Morwen, you taking the eyeball, of course. And in the morning, you returned to Squall's End, some more tired than others. There you spoke to Gamble again, spoke to Meliora, obtaining a drinking horn of sorts, taken from the Hall of Heroes in Kol Erasta, your eventual destination. However, it is about 11 a.m. You have roughly 8 hours until you can again comfortably engage in a long rest. But we're going to begin with Akka, because Akka's doing stuff. All right. Akka, you are within this warehouse up in Squall's End, this monastic sort of town, now much emptier after the battle sustained or the damage sustained to the battle between the Ninth Path, the sort of other sect of monks that had occurred during the schism between the Xinyi Shay's people. The catastrophic damage has resulted in them needing to move. And so around you, much quieter. And Shay, for you, having seen into this workshop as you led Akka here, this is a place that was so alive. The forge was almost like a heart to it. You remember these windmills kind of creaking to the side, off on the eastern side of this building, were like the lungs that pumped the life into the structure. This was a living place full of people and creation. And now it is so quiet. But Akka, as you began to set about your work, gathering a modge-podge of beakers and vials and a broken artifact in a little tin, which you've made into a Bunsen burner, essentially. It's almost as if this small aura is around Akka and his tools. And in this darkness, there is this faint pulse of life. But Akka, you are going to attempt to take this dragon blood and do what with it?
I'm trying to, I guess, condense it into the potion of frost resistance.
Okay, so you want to make some thick blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
you're proficient. Yeah, you're proficient in Tinkerer's tools, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and make a check. This is going to be a check with your Tinkerer's tools, your proficiency modifier, your dexterity modifier.
Okay.
And then as an artificer, I'm sure that you have some.
I believe I do.
Yeah.
Yes. I have proficiency doubled, basically.
That would make sense.
With my my tools. So that's what is it for Tinker's tools?
Dexterity?
Okay. That's gonna
It's charisma. That's how charming you are.
Hmm.
Come on, little gears. Let's get together.
I've been like int maybe, I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying.
That's 27?
27? Okay.
That's awesome.
Who yeah, I know. What a nerd. Who's watching Akka?
I feel like I'm just sort of passively looking around, and when I see him doing stuff, I'll like from across the room, like, huh, what's he doing?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do like a hover, but I'm
Okay.
From the distance.
Yeah.
So
I
this
feel
is
like
like
Nod is somewhere in the rafters, probably getting a better view than I am.
Yeah, every now and then you can hear the owl wings as Nod kind of adjusts. But so for all of you, and basically what is like an RPG menu, You have the characters just kind of idly sitting around this dark
Leaning
space.
against a wall
And
like
then
this.
you hear like off in the corner with this one light source kind of casting a silhouette against him, Akka, cling, cling, just kind of putting things together.
Just making thousands of iron daggers.
He's going to be a blacksmith by the end of this long rest. Shay, what are you doing?
Casually observing, but probably intending on heading out into town soon.
Okay. So as you linger by the door, you watch this, but you watch as Akka takes these vials of white dragon blood, dark, almost transitioning to this vaguely coagulating purple. And Akka, for you, you have to just kind of like get it out of the vial. It sticks, but you manage to get it in. As soon as it hits heat, very quickly, it's almost as if it instantly boils. You see small bubbles begin to go around the sides of these flasks, up around the curve, as you described, and over the course of about an hour. You said 27?
Yes.
You can add 2 potions of frost resistance to your inventory. You were very close to third. But as this final bit, you're just trying to get this last little bit out and kind of rush the process, knowing that this is sort of a timetable. Kind of burn some of the elements and lose that last little bit.
If I used Flash of Genius, could I scrape off the bits and try to salvage the third one?
That's not really how that works, but I like where your head's at. Points for creativity.
I love that flash of. Well, maybe if I don't waste it.
Maybe if I eat it anyways. So, Akka, as you work, is anybody doing anything over the course of that hour aside from just kind of hanging out? Okay, Morwen hangs out.
Just trying to focus and get ready and try to like reset my nerves after the fact that we just took down a dragon and are already back in civilization the same day.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happens.
A lot happened in 24 hours, more than happened in a lot of time in Kulturam.
Actually, I mean, maybe not, or maybe after the hour, but before we head out, well, I'll say this. Before we head out, I'd like to just, check on our old friend over there, wherever he is. Gunter?
Yeah.
How many old friends do we have?
I'm sorry, he's just so...
Well, compared to me, actually, you're all pretty old, but...
Yeah, where did you leave him, Shay?
Where did he wander off to?
He should be with Krodek, I think. Last I
Oh, even
knew.
better.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
Before we go, we should at least see how he's doing, 24 hours later.
Are we... is our plan to, head straight out?
Well, yeah, because now I'm starting to get worried about Dungannon. No, not Dungannon. Dungannon.
Yeah, be worried about
Dungannon is the city on the west coast, and Dominion is the
Dominion,
continent that you're on.
Yeah.
I mean, both would be accurate.
Yeah. Like, if we can get this breaker thing fixed, we can get on to the more solid material. This is pretty lofty, and I don't know. Seems like there's more direct problems we can deal with once this is done.
Well,
Of course.
so are we confident that we'll be able to fix this once we're there?
Depends on who you ask.
I look over to Akka.
I mean, it's just to everyone. I mean,
Come
because
to
I
stab
don't know how to
the
forge in
vial.
the sand, and magic, not my thing.
Right.
So I'm not the one for this task.
Right.
That is why
Correct.
we hired. I'm gonna kind of motion
Oh,
in Aka's direction.
right.
Still
Alright.
just like looking at the vial.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pat you on the back, be like, "All right,
Yep.
your moment's almost here."
My moment?
No, you're just next to me.
Okay.
Moving on.
So,
Let's go check on Glubter.
okay. So you guys head out into town to check on Club Tour. Shay, where are you going? You said you're going to town?
Yeah, I can assist them finding Glubter, but I wanted to find one of the areas of activity and assist.
Okay. So without really any trouble, because it's really close to your house, You guide them over to the neighborhood that you and Krodok both inhabit, and it is silent. Many doors are open, and while within Squall's End there are not a lot of doors that are locked, in the cold they're not just left open, but they are empty. You see drifts of snow that have blown across the wooden floors. But Krodok's is still very much inhabited. You can see through the windows, and they are quite large. For Krodok, needing to have kind of the open space being very important. You see this little blue shape kind of swathed in a sweater that is far too big, and just kind of sitting by a little wood stove similar to the one that you have, Shay.
He looks.
Hey, buddy.
He looks fine.
Are you gonna go inside?
Oh, sorry. I thought he was outside. Sorry.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll go
Yeah.
inside. Hey, buddy.
Oh, hello.
No, I already agreed. I'd be glad. It's fine. Oh, hi there! And you see he just kind of turns around. You see these little grung hand kind of go up, little suction pads on the end of each one. He looks a little bit better rested, although looking at him, it's almost like he's focusing after being lost in a thought. And you did see him just kind of staring into these flames, but he turns and just kind of waves.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm dealing with just inevitable doom kind of setting into my mind at all times, but aside from that, okay.
Okay, sounds
His
like
head
you're
just
doing
slowly drifts back to the fire.
alright.
You see the eyes just like kind of go down. Um, I would say, Matt, in the back of Glub/Gunter's mind, in this weird sort of insight that you get on this character, as it is yours, there is just like the terrible shrieks of the hellscape that had surrounded you for so long. Weird place for the music to cut back in, but these jettisons of fire coming out of the filth of Flagos, just constantly kind of just threatening to overwhelm the consciousness that the sort of caricature of Glub is shielding Gunter's mind from. It is a thin barrier that is keeping Glub from falling apart.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just wanted to see how you're doing. It looks like you're staying nice and cozy next to the fire. And I'm gonna look around like, is anyone supervising this guy? Where's
You
the-
hear from
where's
the
the
little
staff?
grung, from the grung, you just hear. It kind of continues to look back on the fire.
All right. Well, we're gonna go try to save the world a little bit. So I'll just I'll talk to you later, and I'm gonna Homer Simpson out of there.
So Morwen, Homer Simpson's out, and Heinrich, as you kind of sit there for a second longer looking, you see Glub just slowly turn. The reaction time almost a little bit slowed from just the trauma that he is kind of reliving again and again in the back of his mind. But he just turns, and you can see the eyes a little bit unfocused follow Morwen out the room, and he just goes, "Try not to die." Just slowly kind of turns back. The sleeve just falls down his arm. Are you following Morwen?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah, that scene was creepy.
I'll pocket
He's not
the
doing great.
object. I'll pocket the object I had in my hand back into the bag.
Okay.
I
What
think
was that
better-
object?
I think better of it. It was one of the Cortego claws, just as like a something to mull over and remember. But seeing him traumatized this much, I'm just like, maybe it's better that he doesn't.
And Heinrich, you'd also specifically remember the Cortego. Cortego is a dwarvish word. It is the mist walkers, essentially the chupacabra of the dwarves.
Right.
So going right into that particular trauma, also probably maybe not the
Right.
safest bet. And so you,
More just like a, hey, remember when we stole fingers together? But also like,
but you have so many fingers you could choose from, and those are the ones.
Yeah, that one.
I
That
don't.
one seems
Gunter
extra
kept
fair.
most of
Yeah,
them.
Gunter had most of
Gunter
them.
kept most of them. I just had those Cortega claws.
Yeah, you got to be careful who you give the
Ortegas.
bag of holding to.
Well, that's why, yeah. That's why. Okay, moving on.
Anyhow, Shay, you take a little bit of time trying to find areas in which you could help. You do locate. There isn't a ton of help to be had. A lot of the things that are being taken have been taken. Many of the sort of things that represent Squall's End to you are no longer present, packed away, ready for shipping. And you do find Gamble. Um, he's working on like these, actually very familiar to the kind of your original quarterstaff that could expand out and retract, but on a much larger scale. You can see a lot of the activity is clustered around this. It seems to be a fairly large project. And here you see where the windmill blades have been repurposed. Off the northern side, northwestern side of the mountain, hanging over a place where it just sheer drops. The blade now hangs over the rock, and you can see spinning much faster than you're accustomed to seeing it. You see it's attached to these two large gears sitting up on another one of these expanded metal poles. A little heavier than the one that Gamble's working on, a little shorter too. You would imagine this is almost the beginnings of something that looks vaguely like a ski lift. And indeed, as you look and see this cluster of activity, you see down a good ways, kind of over the edge and very carefully kind of secured to um, rope and other kind of fastening devices. There are people erecting another one of these poles, maybe 20 feet down. And then you would imagine 20 feet further, there is another and another. You think about those platforms that were supposed to be launched through the air. It might be a little bit more controlled this time than your experience. Perhaps he's learned from the flight of the Iron Hawk.
Mhm.
You guys definitely participated in that learning curve, though. What are you looking to do to help?
I don't think I had anything in particular in mind, just to be helpful in
Okay.
some way.
Yeah. Over the course of the day, you guys have maybe 10 hours left after Akka finishes what he's doing. Before you could then take a long rest comfortably, because you can't just like long rest your way through a day. That doesn't work like that. Even in that's too fantasy for D&D. So you do need to wait a little bit. You have about 8 hours. Are you going to use most of those to just kind of help out around town?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get back to that kind of if anything else is going to come up throughout the day. But for those of you going around Squall's End, this kind of snowy village, you will see Shay kind of helping out carrying things and assisting other people in moving large bundles. And then kind of off into the north, this large cluster of Zinyi and other members of Squall's End, just the townspeople. Meliora, actually, there as well, although not helping. It's more of a supervisory role. But in this big cluster, that is where Shay can be found for most of the day. The two of you leave the Glubter scene. Akka, you have created these potions. Is there anything that you're doing after that?
Is everyone else gone?
Yeah, at this moment.
I guess I would just like idly explore the village and look for things that are like, kind of interesting, sightseeing.
Okay. Are you looking for anything in particular?
Like cool artifacty type things, or like it's ruins at a museum or something.
Okay, so you're just gonna pick through some people's houses, like the ruins at a museum.
No, like
gather things around you
within within reason. Not gonna be snooping past like do not cross barriers or anything, but no.
Okay, so
You wander in the city or the town. Rather.
Make an investigation check. Why not? Looking for relics in a
just
town.
Like cool things that might be left behind from this monastery.
Okay.
Investigation. That's an 11.
An 11.
That was like my worst investigation roll.
It's quiet here. It's right around noon. A lot of people who are kind of actively packing are either off to the north within the monastery proper, or perhaps eating lunch. but it's very quiet. Not a lot of activity. Squall's End is not a place of raucous celebration and things of that nature, so it's peaceful.
Well, that's nice.
You don't find much in the ways of artifacts or interesting doodads. Although there is. Do you read Elvish?
Yes.
Okay. So you would see at a certain point. Are you going into the monastery as well? It is. The gates are open now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I
Oh no,
would.
sorry. You're already in the monastery because you're in Gamble's workshop. So that's
Yeah.
technically beyond the walls. So even though it's like way off into the side and kind of tucked around a little bit of the mountain, but you going kind of about your business, you would see Shay. You would see a couple of times Croddock, who you've met now overhead. Seems to be sort of one of the very few sort of lookouts of this project, and he seems to be kind of orbiting this activity that's going down the slope of Mount Yishi. You would find that there is this hallway within the Court of Mystics where you had met this guy Pericolo, yet another one of your characters that has come up in our main story. And there is there a structure that seems to be like a hall of records of some kind, based on the title of it and the kind of description. And the doors are open. You can see there's stairs that lead down. You can certainly look in there. But aside from that, you don't find much.
Why not check the Hall of Records?
Okay. You descend the stairs. They go down into this kind of dark, open, rectangular chamber, and there are almost like bookshelves, although there are various kind of indentations within the wood. It seems almost like they should be housing these like orbs of some kind. There is like a handful of them left. Actually, hang on one sec. I'm trying to remember if you guys asked Gamble. You did. So on the table, there is a pair of cases. These two cases, give me 1 second here, are they have Shay, Gunter, Heinrich, and Morwen's name on them. 1 second here. Find it. Here we are. They are two thin metal cases with very faint impressions tooled in, like leather work almost, although into the metal itself. But it is beautiful, and they resemble like apples and tree branches. But you can see within the room that you're in, there are 4 tapestries. 2 are orange, and 2 are this pale blue. They have a language that you do not read, actually, is Zinyi. But there are different phrases on each one. These cases, they're not locked, although they do have these names on them. What would you like to do?
Are they just like cases, or do they look like something that would specifically be for, like, is it a case that's shaped like an apple because you store an apple in it, or like
no?
what
So
are we
it's
looking at?
it's imagine
My
thin.
apple box.
It's thin, but it looks thick enough that it could certainly store several of those. It's almost like a long instrument case, if you want to think about the thickness and the length of it.
Okay.
You would imagine each one might be able to hold 3 of those sort of indentation orbs. Each orb is roughly the size of a softball, maybe.
And you said that there were still some orbs in here?
No, you guys had actually asked Gamble specifically to find some things for you. Akka would not know this, but these are the things. Yeah. And so when you we're going to go say goodbye to Gamble, he was going to tell you about these things. But Akka has found them.
I guess I would like sneak a peek.
Okay. You go over and open up. It's almost like a cigar box's clasp. It's very, very delicate metalwork. Beautiful. And as you open it and just peek in, you can see in at least the left case, there is 2 of these beautiful glass orbs. Tiny, tiny script scrawled across them. Very hard to read. And kind of close that, open it up. And the second one, same thing. 2 beautiful glass orbs.
Opening it up a little more, can I see, like, is the script legible? Is it a language that I can read, or is it this same language?
Make an Arcana check. Make a flat intelligence check. This isn't strictly speaking magic.
Okay.
It's the magic of science.
Straight intelligence is
Yeah.
21.
21. With the 21, you looking at this would recognize that certainly this is a script of some kind. You see like a pattern to it, very neatly written out. It is so small that at first it almost looks like a textured glass orb, but as you get close, you can see tiny little things. Looking at it, there is a part that is completely clear. You'd imagine, should you shine a very bright light source through it, it would cast information across. And as you look up and around this chamber, there's a large, kind of slightly curved wall that you would imagine, should you place this in the middle and find a light source, because that has been removed, you might be able to read what's on these.
Would a magical tinkered ball bearing with light on it fit inside this orb?
Certainly not, but the orbs are solid, so you're not putting a light in the orb. There's a spot
lighting.
that is almost like a pupil that is perfectly clear.
Gotcha.
And you would imagine shining a light through that will then cast the words onto a surface.
Gotcha. I guess I would try to put the first one that I found like on the spot to cast it on the wall, and then magical tinkering tap the lens of the orb.
Magical tinkering tap?
Yeah. Try to, get the light on that point of the orb.
So onto the wall, you see script appear. We'll just say that you started with the first orb on the left.
Yeah, that's
this
the one
seems to be very, very finely chiseled into the glass or scratched into the glass, almost minutely by hand, but still beautiful script in Elvish, so you can read this. It is simple notes on the Tabaxi as a species, and you gather through a quick summation of this. It's just a little bit about theories on the fact that they've come from beyond Alberon's natural borders, beyond even the Jeweled Oasis, the sort of border between Alberon and all other things. Most Tabaxi don't recall their origins or how they showed up here, but many wash ashore or wander into communities from trees nearby. Even more are found living solitary lives in the wildest parts of Alberon. You read a little bit about how they share fascination with gems and shiny things and seem to pick up Elvish better than other languages. That's just a quick glance. Notes of that nature.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I would spend a little bit of time looking at all of them over the course of the next couple of, I guess, maybe an hour or so of it.
So the second orb is something that's called the Traveler's Roosts. It details a network of high-up clusters of buildings, sanctuaries for Aarakocra that travel instinctually ever since the destruction of their home. It marks a couple different places that are considered these sanctuaries. They're called Roosts, Traveler's Roosts. There are, at a quick glance, you see a couple of them are located in Dominion. The third orb is on the Pantheon of Law and Light. It's relatively recent. Of these orbs, the most recent, and it's documentation on the Pantheon. Helm, Soon, Melora, Tyr, Tempest, Lathander. It details their followings, just information on them. That's an old request. Maybe not relevant anymore. And then that was the original request that you made to Gamble. And then the final one definitely catches your attention, Akka. And this is the one that you really, you kind of look at each one a little bit and do the next one. This one, as soon as the title up onto the wall, the creation of the Triwards. This is something that really grabs your attention. In 673 TA, Third Age, deep in the Olvash Staggerfall in Everest, a plan was created amongst the Silver Races in order to rid them of the dragons and giants that oppressed them. It talks about the Soulcaster, the various things that were needed to create it, names all of the items, talks a little bit about them, and goes into the dragons that they were originally designed to kill. It talks about the locations in which they were forged. The same is true of the Staff of Twisted Fates. It goes into the Maker, the Breaker, and the Binder, those who crafted them, and those they were meant to fell. And it talks about the Triward known as River and Ruin, crafted by, of all amalgamations of people, the humans, the elves, and the Tortle of Darby. Um, and it goes into all of those. And Darby apparently is a place where dragons are very active and never really found sleep. And so they were not designed for any particular dragons. They are the only Triwards still in active use, although they've been divided again amongst the races. Or not races, kingdoms now. But
Okay. I'm gonna take note of all this information and then put the orbs back and go see if I can find anyone who's doing something to just, pass the time.
you walk out, it's dark. It is, the time has passed, and you find yourself probably getting back at roughly 7 o'clock. But over the course of the day, is there anything else anybody's doing?
When we see Shay helping, I'll go over and see if I can help too. I've got like nothing better to do, so might as well, like help people.
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess since we were both walking together,
I'm
that
maturing.
seems fitting.
Okay. So as Akka pre-reads all of your gifts, screens them to make sure that they're safe for you, as he generously does. You hired a really, really hard worker, working overtime. You all help, going about kind of helping people move things. A lot of the work right now is erecting these poles. So you guys learn a little bit about this project. One second here. These are a series of expanding metal poles that are going to be anchored, and each one is individually shaped to be best anchored to the specific part of the mountain that is going to be put into. It will lower these large platforms almost like ski lifts, so that the platforms are 10 by 10 and meant to kind of ship things. Not very comfortable, but effective. They're anchored by heavy chains, these poles, into the earth. There are 2 that are already assembled and then more that are going in. But eventually, these will be used to lower things down into the valley below, and then eventually in aiding the transition of the Zinni to Yorn, the cloud giant city that you all helped rise sections of from the ground. You can see. So you guys spend a couple of hours helping out, and I would say because of that, Gamble, very grateful after shooing off a number of monks, would approach you guys as it gets dark out and the sun sets. You can see the dark purples transitioning into these kind of light blues that themselves turn into navy and then black as the first stars begin to rise. Gamble, kind of tired, approaches all of you, except for Akka, who's still reading your books. Thank you all for helping us. Again, most of my things have been packed and are ready for transition already, but I do have one item more for personal comfort, and perhaps you could make use of it. He pulls out this. It's a 10-pound copper disc. It looks kind of like a Roomba, but huge. And as he sort of has to heft it with both arms, and being a halfling, he takes the pipe and kind of straps it to his leg, and has this big disc. Who may I give this to?
Well,
I'll reach out and take it.
Okay, he gives it to you, Shay. This, not an automaton necessarily, but you will need to implement some element of your own willpower to get it to work. But it should aid in the preparation of food, even without ingredients.
That's a very gracious gift, Uncle.
Not all of my own design, but heavily modified. Originally, the food was quite tasteless, and we've made some adjustments.
So do we just say what we want and it does it?
It certainly tries. And based on the amount of willpower that you are able to impart into this device, the original intent of this item was to create a bland but sustaining food.
Huh.
The machinery is simply there to compound it into something a bit more palatable.
Huh.
And so functionally, This item is something called a bag of bounty.
Okay.
And so it works as, you can just make 3 meals a day that will just sustain you, and they are tasteless. However, you can make a performance check to attempt to make a better meal, and depending on how you roll, it will be a different quality of meal. In kind of flavor terms, this is little disc, kind of pops up. It has little arms with knives, tongs, it has very specific attachments actually. In case you guys try to take it apart, because I try to plan for everything. But and it'll just hibachi up some stuff for you. It has little pots, pans, everything kind of stacking. And Gamble would say, regrettably, I have not managed to find a way to fit silverware in yet, but there are 6 plates. So that's a start.
That's pretty awesome. It's a dinner frisbee.
I don't know what a frisbee is, but
Oh,
It's this. Oh, no.
you just throw it off the mountain.
It is a
Watch, come
10-pound
back,
metal
I swear.
disc. That's-
Oh wait, that's a boomerang. Hey,
I mean, a
for me
10-pound
it would
metal
just be
disc is-
a pretty easy toss now with the belt.
For you, yes, certainly. With the belt of stone giant strength, you could do that.
Yeah. Do you want me to keep
Um,
that in the pack, Shay? Yeah, I'll just sort of.
In addition, over the course of our visits, you've all expressed a number of interests to me. Shay, within the Hall of Records, I've had them leave a number of our orbs of knowledge behind. Things that might help all of you. Shay, in there is one that may be of interest to you. I know you are not made up on your path. There is much that you don't know. I don't know if you wish to. But the
And-
Aarakocra do have predictable places, and they're worth knowing about.
Of course, and any knowledge would be helpful.
He turns to you, Heinrich. I suspect it might be too late. However, there is knowledge there on your pantheon of gods.
Hey, honestly, more knowledge is fine, even if I already know it. Just rereading might find something I didn't see before.
He nods and says, there are many things that I have read once and yet wish to read again.
Exactly.
He turns to you, Morwen. Interesting that we were able to find even a little bit of knowledge on your people, the Tabaxi. But we left that orb there as well.
I'll
I
lean
can't
over-
tell.
I lean over to Morwen. I'll read it for you.
I can't tell whether or not you wish to know where you are from. You seem undecided, or perhaps chaotic. But perhaps the knowledge will be helpful. And then he kind of looks at all of you. You have all become implicated in things that are much larger than anything that I have been involved in. And I turns around, am the listener. That is a great thing to say. There is another orb there that contains knowledge on the Staff of Twisted Fates, as well as the other items of its ilk. It has much information, and Heinrich, I'm sure that you will find these interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially since we don't even know the beginnings on how to fix or make well, what we're exactly trying to do. Hopefully it has something on that.
Perhaps. I have not read all of it myself, but the origins of each item are in there, and perhaps that will help.
Certainly will. And I have all of the time in the world to read.
Is there anything else that you require before you take your journey? I take it you mean to leave tomorrow.
Yes, first thing.
Yeah, no, I can't think of anything. You've already just become a place that we can rely on coming to. That's more than I can ask.
I am
I guess
not
the
a
place
young,
is moving, but
I am not a young halfling anymore. For a very long time, I didn't have a place that I could call home. And though this one is moving, it is still such. And it will always be a home for all of you. Thank you for your help today. And he kind of bows to all of you and begins to take off. Immediately, people just kind of catch up to him, and he's kind of tugged off. And though he attempts to kind of head in the direction, Shay, that you know his house to be, he is kind of led back to the main part of the monastery. You see like resistance in his movements, and then he just kind of gives in and goes. But the last little bits of sunlight die away. And are you guys all finding your way back to the workshop?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys all meet up at the workshop. It is about 8 p.m. Karanza now there as well. Looks a little tired. Kind of begins to start the process of getting all of her stuff ready to settle down for the night. Are you guys doing anything else, or do you want to commence with this long rest? / Heinrich time.
Well, wait. Did we see the orbs? Are we going to do that first?
We can just grab them before we go. I guess we could grab
we
them now.
take them?
Right?
If you want, we can just kind of retcon that you went back and grabbed them. We don't,
Sure.
unless you guys really want to roleplay a walk.
No, it's okay. Left foot. Right foot. Left foot. Right foot. Right foot
Correct.
hop.
Roll for initiative. Yeah. So yeah, you guys go back. You grab these two beautiful cases, and you can see your names are kind of written very carefully, clearly designed for you. Nobody else would take these. They're kind of the lone items in these. And actually, Heinrich, interesting to you, you can see there are these 4 banners left. The letters rearrange themselves for you, and so you can kind of read them.
Mhm.
There are 2 orange ones and 2 blue ones.
Mhm.
The orange one the 2 orange ones read, "The path forward casts eyes behind," and then the other one reads, "To know is to grow." Almost like these, like you know those inspirational posters you see, very similar.
Yeah.
Like in this library, these are the
Live,
posters.
laugh, love.
Yeah, exactly. But the blue ones are a little stranger. They
Uh-huh.
read, "Feathers flutter o'er the past," and then the other one reads, "A length of 3 brings the past to thee."
Huh. What do you make of that, Shay?
Does that have any particular meaning to me?
Make a history check.
That's 15.
15. There is something about it. The Path of 3. I mean, and as you think about it, the Zinni are kind of, there's a lot of mentions of paths.
Mhm.
It's hard to tell. It's one of those things where now you're not sure if you're convincing yourself that you know about it or not, but it doesn't bring anything concrete to your mind.
Okay. I would relay such.
Okay.
Log that away. 3s are, common patterns.
True.
Anyways, nice. Let's get some rest before we try this again tomorrow.
Okay. You all find places to sleep, and without too much trouble, you all drift off. Heinrich, are you doing anything over these dark hours? What was it that I called it that one time? The dark times.
Yeah, the dark times, yeah. It's yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to ask the book
Okay.
immediately.
You could just go to sleep. It's perfectly valid.
Ha 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 ha. I think I'll do some Elvish reading, and then
Okay.
how distracting would it be to try to read these orbs? Would it wake everyone up if I turned them on?
You could
I
go. This is a big workshop, so you could go off
Yeah, I'll
into
go
a
to a
far
different-
corner. Yeah, no
Yeah.
worries. So you go off to the far northwestern corner. Which orbs? I mean, what are you trying to do? You just reading them all?
Gonna scan them for pertinent information, and
Okay.
I'll start with the relics one, the Triwards.
Sure. So you read about the Soulcaster, a 7-foot-long Triton. The central haft of it, the sort of middle part, is a spear known as the Dawn Fang. It's designed to slay a dragon known as Uxathos, the Obsidian Moon. Dawnfang was said to emit daylight, and its touch caused evil creatures wounds that would never heal. The left tine of this trident was a dwarven short sword named Silence, meant to be the death of Soltrix, the Sapphire Quake. The final was a crossbow made by the elves, carved from the wood of a Feywild tree, with a bowstring made from a strand of a phoenix soul, and the metal sung into the shape by their blade singers that could compact into a curved machete-like sword. This crossbow slash sword was called the Song of Dark Morning, and it was designed to kill the amethyst dragon that broke the onyx spire. And this amethyst dragon was called Zarkonikor, the end of all things. In Dominion, the Staff of Twisted Fates was formed by the humans, the gnomes, and the dwarves. The maker was created by humans of something called the Noble Alliance, which is the predecessor to the Kingdom of Sarental. It was a staff that appeared to be pale wood filled with motes of forces of creation itself, which you've actually seen. Shay has it and casually just kind of whips it out, maybe once a blue moon.
Every once in a while.
It was meant to combat the violent green dragon Ethavex. The dwarves of the two coals crafted the breaker, which uses a pure diotic metal, diotic metal shaft that housed an incredibly powerful destructive force that could be channeled through it into powerful concussive bursts. It was designed to kill the black dragon known as the Death Mask, Moxie Vent. Man, I chose hard names. Moxie Venetia. Finally, the binder was an iron flask designed to capture Shashini, a dragon said to be composed of liquid mercury that plagued the gnomes of Mecania, this underground place. Far away in Derby, the final Triward, known as River and Ruin, appears as a dagger and a sword, which hang off of a harness. The dagger is known as River, and was crafted by the humans of House Sledge, specifically by the greatest demonsmith of all time, Octavius Sledge, and was said to grant the bearer a hand as fluid and strong as a river. Ruin was an orc-forged hand-and-a-half sword of crimson steel that caused such catastrophic damage it could ruin whole buildings with a stray swipe. And finally, the Lake Pond Turtles had no smiths, but contributed an enchanted harness of dragon leather that bound both River and Ruin together. The harness was called Turtlemite and allowed the skill of River and the power of Ruin to work in tandem, despite the fact that of the three factions, the Lake Pond Turtles were the only ones who could agree on something to unify the Triwards. Of the Triwards, these three are the only ones actively in use, as Darby kind of has a dragon issue. But that is what you would read of the Triwards.
Okay.
Just a quick little bit of information.
So knowing that now too, it seems like the shapes of these things have changed, if I'm not mistaken.
In what way?
Well, actually, no. I guess I don't know what the binder or the
Make an intelligence check.
Because I don't think I know that she has it. She hasn't shown it to me.
You've seen it once.
Uh-huh. I thought it was like in something.
Mm-mm. It was originally, but after Shay obtained it, there was one. Shay had to hide it because somebody saw it, and you guys saw a flash of it at that point.
Right. And you said it's a flask?
It's in this orb. It's mentioned as something called an iron flask. Capital I, capital F.
Okay, so then that may just be not actual physical description. What was it the roll for?
Flat intelligence?
11.
11? It could be iron, it could be a flask.
Sure. And then the breaker was mentioned to have a shaft that sort of directed the chaotic explosions.
So the shaft, and interesting to you because you've heard of this material fairly recently, is crafted of pure diotic metal. This is metal that has been
from the workshop,
and this is metal that it comes from the upper realms, from the realms of the gods themselves.
So that might be the thing that we need to create again to house it,
Very possible.
direct it. but I don't think I don't have any of the Diotic Metal. I think maybe Akka does. I'll ask him tomorrow.
Wake him up. Hey,
Hey, you!
do
I
you
just
have-
read some. Well, he
Seven
he'll
and a
be
half
awake
hours.
He'll be awake half the time before everyone
Yeah,
else.
I would say you look over and you can see Akka kind of starting to stir right around the 4-hour
Yeah.
mark.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still spend some time doing Elvish as well. I
Okay.
do want to read about Tabaxi because I am really curious now.
So the Tabaxi, hang on, let me get up here. They've existed since the dawn of the Third Age, although the general theory is that they come from lands beyond Alberon's natural borders, beyond even the Jeweled Oasis, the beautiful expanse of crystals that hangs in the sky and separates Alberon from other things. Most don't recall their origins in the world. They wash ashore, they wander in from the trees, they're found living solitary lives, etc., etc. They generally share the fascination, pick up Elvish more than any other language. There are talks about how they have these dreams, weird, sort of just almost like watercolor visions of this other place. But the notes here are very, very light. There's not a lot on the orb. It's mostly just glass.
Mm-hmm. So I'll have to ask Morwen if she's had any dreams because that's curious.
Hmm.
Okay. And then just like a cursory glance at the other two, probably the same amount of info that Akka would have gotten, so we don't need to do that again.
No.
No?
I mean,
No, I'm
so
saying that's okay. Yeah, I mean, if there is
the Traveler's
Well,
Roost, these Aarakocra, they've instinctually traveled ever since the destruction of their home. There's 18 of them that are marked across across Alberon, and within this orb, there is actually a map of the world.
Huh.
And it has 4 that exist within Dominion, and then 2 within Farshore, 2 in Everest. The other 11, interestingly enough, are all in Mythalstream. And you gather from this orb, that is where the Aarakocra originate. In Dominion, there's one atop Kol Stoneflow. It's marked as the Eastern Roost. The next one is on a cliffside overlooking something labeled as the Cemetery of the Nameless Sailor on the western coast of Dominion, called the Haunting Roost. And the third is on something labeled as Mount Vanadur, which is overlooking the ruins of a structure called the Scrimwar. It's called the Roost of Rain. And then on the west side of the Tannic Divide, on the tallest mountain, rests something called the Sanctuary Roost, the first one in Dominion that the Aarakocra escaped to after the destruction of their home. Each has a few rooms or buildings, a fire pit, communal chests to leave items in that might be helpful to others of their kind of living this nomadic lifestyle. But you gather those locations.
Okay.
And then for the gods, the little bit that you learn that you do not already know, each seems to have followings of different kinds. You read about, and Uriel's Watch not mentioned, but the Helmsguard is mentioned, a knightly order that rides into battle under the banner of a one-eyed helm. The followers of Soon. And you guys have actually, or I think Morwen was to a church of Soon at one point, but the god of beauty has something called the Rose Throat Kinship, which is an order of bards and knights that occupy the various beautiful places in Dominion and protect these places. You can recognize them by a ruby rose that is pinned onto the lapel of their collar. There's the Senate, which is the judiciary body of the Kingdom of Sarental, and they are the followers of Tyr, who is the god of justice. And you can see they all wear flat pauldrons that are meant to represent the scales of Tyr. The flaming sword of Tempest flies above the battle banner of Sarental's many armies, and that's kind of the armies are Tyr's kind of following order.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lathander is represented by something called the Order of the Purging Light. It's a clerical order, and it's symbolized with a lantern with a sun within it. And that is what you learn.
Symbols, got it, and people and stuff. Okay. Then I'll do my Elvish.
You learn some
Wait for
Elvish.
everyone to get up.
Yeah, you find some nouns, some new adjectives. You learn colors. It's great.
Yeah.
You slowly, the hours tick by, and all of you can mark off a long rest. And you are all level 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys killed a dragon. That was crazy.
What's up? Yeah, the bonus is still just 12. It'll take another level before it gets to 13. Whoa. But
So
I
as
get
you wake up,
19 temporary hit points. Hooray.
nice. As you all wake up, it is the 3rd of the Claws of Winter. It is Friday. The skies a little bit more overcast than they were the previous day. Carranza begins to kind of pack up her stuff pretty quickly. What are you guys doing?
Read my orb.
Okay, sure.
Joe, do it again.
Don't
No,
do
I'm
it
just
again.
kidding. All
It's
of them.
fine.
Every single one.
I'll recount what you.
Tabaxi wander in from the woods. Not gonna.
Yeah, you tell me everything, and I'm like, Naff of Twisted what?
It's like a Skyrim. It's like a Skyrim NPC.
Yeah.
Who's going to the same dialogue again and again.
Yeah.
They wander in from the woods.
Sorry. Nope. Sorry. Nothing. So yeah, but then I'll make a point actually to. Have you had any of those dreams? Does that?
Oh yeah.
What are they of?
Oh, a bunch of stuff.
Like, could you go into more detail?
Am I just like I don't know.
I
I wasn't
don't know.
prepared.
Morwen.
This is
Something that
I wasn't
Morwen would
prepared
know.
for this.
Morwen, over the course of our campaign, you have had 2 dreams.
Yes.
The one of which that you would most remember, and that was the most vivid, was of running on all fours through this forest. And you knew instinctually the name of the forest. It was the, Miles, remind me.
Feywood?
No.
Oh.
The Caitlin would.
The Kaelin Wood, yeah.
Well, I was close. You looked at me like, no.
Yeah.
The Kaelin Wood, yes. And you knew that you were in this place. The smells were familiar. They were of the Kaelin Wood and they were of home. But you woke up again, just a dream.
Huh. Well, that certainly doesn't sound like a place around here. I've never seen that on any map or referenced ever. That's pretty bizarre.
Yeah. I don't think it's here.
If it's real.
Well,
maybe.
I mean, you read the orb.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, these things are. I guess I believe them as much as I believe anything that people from this order, your order, say, which,
Well, I mean, as long as you've been here in your old age of, what, 27?
No. I don't think my birthday has come. I don't remember when my birthday. I think it's in a few months.
All right, noted.
I think it's actually technically in like 4 months and 5 days.
I would have to look. We haven't gone
the translation's April 8th.
April 8th. If you gave me a second, I'll look later.
Yeah.
Literally.
The only
right
birthday
now,
that
someone's
yeah.
getting a birthday cake.
The equivalent of
Morwen's
in-game April 8th.
canonically we know Morwen's birthday and we know Heinrich's birthday.
Yeah.
We don't know Shay's birthday yet. Unclear who, if anyone, knows Gunter's birthday.
Well,
yeah.
it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, technically, I guess. Anyways, you guys kind of gather your things and
Yeah. I'm pointing out to Akka specifically that part about the dense metal.
Diotic Metal.
Diotic metal, thank you.
I don't think I actually have any, do I?
No.
That would be.
I think Gunter had some.
Gunter did.
certainly
And
does. He has a
that's
big
now-
old
Yeah.
brick of it. And a
Yes.
big thing of ore.
He had like 30-pound ore
Of raw
of raw
diotic
diotic ore, yeah.
Yeah, the solution to our problem potentially.
Had.
Mhm.
Yeah, much like a lot of other things. That
Which is probably still somewhere in Pendleton. Or
don't
the Thousand Gates.
No, I thought it.
You would guess much more likely
I thought it
that
was-
is with that's probably in Calypso's.
Yeah, that's with everything else.
Right.
And that's not something that you would imagine they threw away. That's probably going to get used against you at some point.
Yeah.
Like everything else in that
Yeah.
bag.
Wonderful. We
Yeah.
have supplied them.
It's going to be great to see Jeruxa using the sword that you could have had.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great when they throw the GAM cube at us.
Yeah.
One of us is gonna get crushed in it.
Definitely Azra, a god, is going to use the Gam Cube as an action against you in combat,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, I'm gonna
Absolutely.
be honest. It's most likely gonna be me, and I'm just gonna be like squish underneath. Very anticlimactic death, just like.
I mean, you almost froze to death during fighting a dragon, so it's like, oh, she died during a dragon fight. Was it the bite attack? Was it the breath attack? It was
She
the
was
snow.
scared and cold.
She peed herself
She
and
peed
it just
herself
she
and
got
gave
pneumonia.
Yeah.
It's a slow death. But this is the great part of a long-term campaign.
Yeah. And I think to myself in my final moments, why did I wear pants?
Yeah, oh, it could have all been avoided.
All
So
right.
anyways.
So no, I wanted to ask you though. I mean,
Uh-huh.
after reading that orb, like, am I the first Tabaxi you've ever met?
Absolutely.
Cool.
I think you're the first Tabaxi a lot of people meet if you haven't gathered that.
Carranza, you can see, just kind of pulls her bag shut and slings it over her arm. Overhearing this, kind of pipes up. Yeah, Tabaxi is super rare around here. Like, I met one in my life, and I travel more than most people.
Where did
Well,
you
two
meet that
now.
one?
Way off on the East Coast, within the short sea. You ever heard of a place called Biss? Like, you want to travel about 8 days north of that, way out in the middle of fucking nowhere. But there's a lighthouse made out of glass. And there's a Tabaxi that hangs out there. It's kind of strange.
Huh.
Oh, what's his name?
Yeah, I don't remember. It was like I was there for less than a day.
Wait, so there's a Tabaxi near Biss living in a glass lighthouse? I think I can narrow that down. Cool.
Like I said, there's not a whole lot of you. There's a couple in stories. But yeah, especially in Dominion, it's not exactly friendly towards non-human folks. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Hey,
cool.
At least you
That's
didn't
why
call me
everyone
Devil
stares
Man.
at me. I thought it was because I was cute.
I mean, I'm not exactly like formally educated, but I understand where the tieflings come from. They're not like devils.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we? Shay, you don't happen to know if the Zinni have any Diotic Metal, and you don't happen to be able to make Diotic Metal, do you? Either
Who,
of you
me?
helpful?
I really appreciate the fact that as a transmuter, you think I could change like regular metal into something from the upper realms.
Yeah,
A little outside of my realm of ability, but I really appreciate the vote of confidence.
So far, you've helped so much.
That
Well-
sounds sarcastic.
No, it's genuine.
Okay.
Perhaps at one time, though I would have no idea.
Right. Right.
Wait, where did we come across that?
Well, the only other place we've ever found it is in Kulturam.
Uh,
Which,
Heinrich, you'd remember that Twee Lightfoot had a solid brick of it that you carried around for some time. Of refined Diotic Metal.
yeah.
I'll just add it to the shopping list.
Can't go back to Port Quinn. I don't think I took that. That was something from so long ago that if I had it. Still...
Gunter also had that.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was just carrying all the minerals because stone cutting and whatever.
Well, it's not like we could go back to Port Quinn and hope that the guy's
Body
body is still
we
there.
know
and
the
it's like
body isn't
dust
there.
and just like the thing we're looking for.
I mean, we know the body isn't there. We disposed of it.
Of Tweez?
Oh,
You guys
yeah.
watch Gunter cut it into 3 separate piles,
And then
burn
it.
each one, and hack
Yeah.
each one of them as they burned.
Yeah.
Then he
We
tied
had the
them to
whole joke
rocks
about
and
back
sunk
bacon,
them
which was
to the
awful.
and sunk them to the bottom of the water. So no,
And then
You
he
guys
told
made
me
everyone
do
in
it.
Port Quinn, he's gone.
yeah.
I don't.
Sunk him into the water too in the basement of my old store.
The best part about that was before any of you guys had become like in this game criminals, which eventually you did, of course, become. You guys could have very simply been like, "Yeah, we killed him. He had gone. He did all, look at this big layer that we just cleared out for you."
Right.
But instead,
when
you
we're-
went through painstaking measures to hack apart and hide a body, which
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anyways, you'd imagine the body probably still where you anchored it beneath the water.
Don't need it. All right.
We could
Anchored
ask
it with the
Gamble,
Diotic Metal.
perhaps. He may know
Yeah.
better than I.
It's a long shot because I think we should still go today otherwise, or regardless, rather.
Of course.
So, quick stop with Gamble, ask Scraps Diotic Metal, and then let's go. Casual.
Yeah, okay, let's go. And
Cool.
as Kronz, you guys all just kind of travel out the door through the town. People now kind of traveling through. You can see things still being gathered and packed. You eventually come to Gamble, who again kind of turns the crowd aside and greets all of you. Hello.
Good morning, Uncle. One
Good morning,
last,
Shay.
perhaps out there request. Did we ever have any Diotic Metal?
Of
available?
course. The Zinni reliquaries utilize Diotic Metal as one of their components. Something used in the Fazarakian techniques of an age past.
Is there any available still?
Currently, no. That is an extremely rare substance. It comes from the upper realms.
Mhm.
It needs to be mined by divine creatures.
Suspected
Getting
as much.
Some of those.
Yeah, if you are looking for something of that nature, to be honest, Yorn would be a place that you might be able to find such. We can look when we do reach that place. The god Mistra, before she died, sacrificing herself, treated that place as a personal favorite, if you will. And so perhaps some elements of her work still there.
Very
Yes,
well.
if you find any, that would be probably helpful. Don't know if we'll need it yet, but that orb
Sounds like we're gonna
had some
need
good,
it.
that orb had some good information in there.
Yes, I perused them, but some of them seem quite long and of a subject matter that you all have requested. So we have the rest of them, and we're taking them with us.
Mm-hmm.
If there is more information that you do wish to know once we have set up, please, of course, feel free to ask.
Of course.
Sort of just nodding.
Okay.
We may still find some in the coal. We did find some in Kol Taram.
Exactly, that was my thought and my hope. I could even ask if there's any present in there now.
You could.
See if
You certainly could.
old Uriel has any information on that. That's why I saved the questions instead of asking random stuff.
There you go.
Here's
How
the
are
one.
you?
Well, yeah. Hey.
Are
How's
you
your-
Are there mosquitoes in heaven?
So, like, what are we? All right.
Is it a chicken or an egg?
Uriel. I'm asking Uriel.
So like,
what are we? Be real. All right.
Can I update my Facebook?
Can I please,
my face scroll?
please delete my account, please? Well, 20
No.
20 bullet pointed
Deactivate
list
only.
side quest
Yeah.
that takes 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yes. So I'm gonna pull out the book and be like, all right. First, fingers crossed, everyone, because that's a thing that people do, wishing for luck. If that's not, I just made it up.
It's a thing.
Okay, good. So yeah, I'm gonna ask Uriel: is there any Diotic Metal in? Whoa.
Is that a cat?
Yeah, that was a cat.
Yeah, you could hear the cat racing along in the background. That was not Sirenscape. So you ask Uriel.
I'm asking Uriel: is there any Diotic Metal present in Kol Erasta, aka the Cold Forge?
Sure. Your question disappears and reappears reformed. Yes.
Ah, oh, thank goodness. What form is it in specifically as is it able to be used in forging?
And the answer that returns is there is raw diotic ore, and there is a spear tip made of diotic metal that has been refined.
I probably have to kill whoever's holding that. All right, I'll
I
save
was
the
just
third
thinking, like, who's
question.
gonna try to stab us with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna save the third question.
Okay.
Date?
All right.
You shut the
Yeah,
book.
date.
Free tomorrow?
Be
You up?
serious. Be serious. How's my hair? No.
Do you like me? Checkbox yes or no.
So let's put that fun romantic side quest away. And
Okay.
I think that's good and ready to move forward.
Okay.
All right, you guys heard the book. Well, no, you didn't. I read the book. I'll tell you. There's Diotic Metal present, and one of the forms is in a spear tip. There's also raw ore, which might be hard because we would have to sit there and forge it, and I have no idea how to do that. But there's hope.
Yay!
Yeah, no, and hope is all we really need. Also, I kind of want to see this place, so
Let's get going.
Let's go.
let's do it. All right, everybody touch the shoulders, everybody in.
Oh.
Can I have the horn, please?
Pass it over.
Takes the drinking horn. Aka, you saying anything?
Kind of reluctant to touch Carranza again,
Okay.
but like, okay.
She's
You
just
reach
a
out,
lady.
You touch Carranza. And as you do, you feel this lurch. You feel your stomach go through your stomach go through your throat. It's as if the entire world shifts down and up at the same time around you, and suddenly you are no longer where you were. You guys use the horn, and so I believe you go there just without problem. So the entire last session could have been avoided.
Yeah, if
Had
Meliora
you
wasn't
just
such a
asked for
jerk.
this thing, you have an associated object, so yeah.
Whatever, check off a dragon, that's fine.
Yeah,
I had to
exactly.
do it eventually, I'm sure.
It
Definitely
was a
not.
Chekhov's dragon.
Certainly
Chekhov's-
not.
No,
There
it's
was,
more
I,
Schrodinger's
doing the
dragon.
math, there was less than a 2% chance you're going to come across that in this section, period. And then when else would you be in the Squall? So, like, it very unlikely that you would have ever come across.
Just stop by to
this-
kill a dragon.
This went into the world as something that you might have come across when you were still kind of like at the very beginning of the game. Let's just go and sit. Okay, so you guys utilize the horn. You're able to teleport without issue. You suddenly emerge and find yourselves in an entirely different place. The air around you a little bit colder. Heinrich, you see what was described to you right in front of you. This bricked off, huge bricks of stone, each inscribed with Dwarvish. And as you look across it, the individual glyphs of Dwarvish, these runes that are angular, reshape and form into common. And you see just clan names, just hundreds of Dwarvish clan names. On top of that, like a tiered archway, there are 4 Dwarvish angels on either side, alternating male and female. And in Dwarvish in the center, it reads, "No chains, no masters, enter freely and leave the same." 3 feet off the ground in front of this arch or this doorway, there is a rusted iron chain that stands about 6 inches away. So there's the door, 6 inches, and then the chain. It runs the length of the 35-foot door that is bricked off. And that is what you see. You kind of listen around. You can hear distantly behind you, because you are a little ways into a mountain. You can see daylight still around a corner, but you're probably about 20 or 30 feet in. You have the entrance to Kol Erasta, the Cold Forge, this place that has been lost for a very long time. But because it is 9:50, sorry, this is where we're going to take our break. So thank you guys for hanging out so far. It is like 10:50. We have a counter now because Tina does fancy stuff. So when that counter in the bottom right hits 0, we'll be back. We'll see you then.
Ah.
And howdy, folks. Welcome back to Adventures in Alberon, our 5th edition game. Thank you for sticking with us through the break. Our theme song, for some reason, cut in just a little later than I meant for it to. But there it is. Better late than never. We can jump right back into our game after the end of that. Before we went into break, you all teleported with Karanza Billows, the transmuter, who brought you to Kol Erasta, the entrance, anyways, known as Freedom's Embrace, this bricked off 35-foot wide archway. Heinrich, you read the inscription above. You see this 3 feet off the ground, this rusted iron chain spanning the length of this archway. It doesn't necessarily block it, but you would not be able to open the door with this chain where it is. There also is no door. It is just a bricked off entrance. Finger Gang, what would you like to do?
Okay.
Well, this looks inviting.
So it's just completely bricked off.
Make a perception check.
Oh my god, the cat's cleaning it over in the background.
That's a 23.
It is super cute, huh? With a 23, you scan these large kind of stone bricks, and you can see, does Akka read Dwarvish?
Yes.
So you can see these are clan names, a variety of clan names. And I would say, given Akka's experience in Dungannon, and there being a number of hill dwarfs still in Dungannon, these are hill dwarf names, clan names. A lot of them, hundreds. And you would gather, looking at this, these are the founding kind of families of this place.
Okay.
You look around, you don't see any kind of cracks or crevices, things that might lead to a like an easy way in necessarily. You do see the inscription above. It reads, "No chains, no masters, enter freely and leave the same."
Does that mean anything to anyone?
It's a puzzle.
Wait, no chains, no masters, leave.
Enter freely,
leave the same.
leave the same.
I would assume it would have something to do with the chain and
That's the
removing
first
it.
start.
Karanza looks up. Yeah, no, that would make sense to me.
Oh.
Masters. All right. So the chain is attached anywhere. Is it like just on either side, like dangling on something? Is it
So
rooted in
it
something?
yeah, it's rooted in these 2 stone posts that rise out of the ground. It looks almost like one of those. It's like a red ribbon in front of like a door that you would open, except it's a chain into stone. But yeah, it's about what did I say? It's about 3 feet off the ground, and 6 inches away from the door.
You said that there were, aside from the hundreds of names, there were other figures on it?
You just see names as far as you can tell, and then you can see these angels. They are slightly distinct from each other, slightly different hairstyles and things of that nature. But aside from that, nothing too out of the ordinary.
Okay. So, no chains means we gotta somehow remove or get rid of the chain.
So how do we want to get rid of this chain? Do we want to...
Well, that I don't know. It seems like something that shouldn't require destruction if this is your normal door to be deactivated for people who used to come in and out frequently. I'm assuming it's got something to do with the rest of the message, which would be no masters. What of all of this screams masters to you guys?
I mean, the chain.
A master? As in,
Yeah,
like,
you have a chain, you chain things, people, animals, whatever, it depends on what you're a master of.
okay. Do these pillars look like they may be able to descend somehow?
I mean,
I'm
are
gonna
you
go
asking?
for
Are you
it.
asking me? Okay,
I'm
so
asking
you go
you,
over. Sure,
not
you
Karanza.
go over. Oh, fuck that lady! You can teleport us around.
Yeah.
You go over to these stone pillars. What are you doing? Are you just looking at them?
First, any mechanisms. Second, any writing.
Make an investigation check.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get real close to it too because I want to touch it.
Okay. You touch it.
And
It is.
I am touching it. Oh, sure. thought
Are
someone
you?
was gonna
I thought you
stop me.
said. Oh, okay.
No, I'm just.
So you
I'm
touch
gonna
it.
do like a. You know what's gonna
Is
happen now.
Anybody stopping Morwen?
Yeah. You
Okay.
know what happened last time?
What happened last time?
You almost died.
When?
The chest. The poison.
Ah, that was nothing.
I got a 21. I got a 21.
Okay, so as you combat Morwen, who continuously tries to touch this, it's just like this constant like hand fighting. You also, at the same
A
time,
mage hand slapping her hand now.
yeah, this heal thing comes out. You kind of investigate. You don't find any mechanisms,
Mhm.
and then Morwen gets really close and looking at this thing as you bat the hand away. You do notice that there are elements of this kind of dust that has settled onto the top of it that have fallen down around the edges. You take a second and you very lightly press one of these pillars, and against stone, it does grind a little bit, but it descends slightly. And then as you take your hand away, it rebounds back up.
Okay.
Why are you allowed to touch it and I'm not?
So
Poke.
All right.
they're
you can poke
pressure
it now.
weighted.
Seems to be.
Let's all stand on them.
Well, how would we get in?
Let's all
I
move
think we
large
need to
objects
find
onto them.
something that's
Is
gonna,
there a boulder nearby? I would like to pick up a boulder.
keep them down.
Okay, so Heinrich, not immediately, however, you remember you wouldn't remember. You take a couple seconds, you look around through the tunnel that leads out to the daylight beyond. You find a sizable rock. You'd guess it goes up to your knees and spans about 2 feet back. Quick guess, 600-700 pounds. It's a boulder.
Cool.
Make an athletics check.
All right. I'll be like, guys, check this out. It's all in the back. Never use your knees.
Kind of bend at a right angle and then snap up.
That is a 23 with a 17 plus 6.
And though Heinrich tells you to do this, he does not. He
Yes.
bends with his knees and he lifts with his legs, keeping the weight kind of below his knees and really good deadlift form. You lift this rock up. Little bits fall down to the ground. And
I turned to
you
everyone and go,
step
holy
over.
shit, I didn't think this would work.
Yeah, you're just holding this boulder.
I
And
was
it's
kidding.
heavy, but it's heavy like carrying another person heavy. This is not heavy like you are carrying 700 pounds heavy. This belt, you can feel it almost like thrumming with power around your waist. You hear this kind of giant, almost chanting in the back of your ears. Too quiet to make out words, but this
Much
kind
better
of
than drumming.
yes. But you feel this strength surge through you. Lift this rock. You walk over each footstep.
Yeah. It's
Much
like,
heavier
watch
than
your
it
toes,
was.
watch your toes, watch your toes.
And Heinrich just lugs this thing over and gently places it down. As you do, the pillar goes into the ground. The chain, now leaning all the way down at an angle, stretched taut. Faintly from this doorway of bricks, you see little bits of dust kind of come down. There is some kind of effect.
Is there another boulder?
You go over, you find another boulder, a little smaller than the first, but you'd imagine easily enough weight because you could push this thing down. Make an athletics check.
Okay.
Mimic.
That is a 14.
14. It's smaller, but it's denser.
Yeah.
You go, you're like, oh, this one's going to be easy. You kind of look around, you see everybody watching you after the first one. You take one arm and you go to lift it. It kind of rolls a little bit. You have to go catch it. You have to like reset, like kind of center yourself.
Seeing
You do
him
pick it up.
struggle, can I help him?
Sure, make your roll at advantage. You drop it, it rolls a little bit.
Oh, much better. That is a 24 this time. From
Okay.
8 to an 18.
You see as this thing begins to kind of roll, Shay's foot just flicks out. It's just instantaneous movement, and the rock comes to a stop. Shay holds it for you at this angle. It now lifted up. You're able to get a much better grip on it, and without issue, hoist this thing and down onto this pillar. As you do, again, bigger puff of dust from these bricks, and they lift very Diagon Alley style and peel away. And in front of you, you are met by a very interesting sight. These bricks lift up, almost like this massive stone portcullis as they crawl back up into the ceiling. The space beyond is revealed to be these 18-foot high ceilings, and a hallway that is wide, like hundreds of feet wide. You lose sight of it off to the sides. It is deep, roughly. This whole space may be the size of a baseball field, though there are areas that are caved in. You see crumbled stone. What draws your attention more? Around these pillars that are like 10 feet across and about 5 feet wide, there are these dwarven statues, stone dwarves, on one of the faces, and then on some of them you can see benches kind of put up against them. It's almost like a subway station in ways. Much of it is dark, but the areas immediately around are very well lit by torches and lanterns. You see a scattering of tents, small, poorly built wooden hovels that seem to have been built. You actually would come to mind very similar to the Dwarven Quarter in Port Quinn when you guys first began this campaign. This is like a ramshackle little town that has been built. Immediately, though, what draws your attention, on these 5-foot tall raised platforms, one immediately in front of the doorway, one on either side, there is a ballista. You see a trio of ballistae, one on each platform, armed by these raven-haired dwarves. You can see there's another 6 dwarves, 3 on either side, with crossbows trained on you. And in front of you, you see a single male dwarf, bald, slate gray eyes, bushy black eyebrows. He has an iron plate mail that features a hammer surrounded by a heart. You hear bowstrings tense up. You can see everything shifting and aiming towards you. And this dwarf in the middle just goes, wait. It's just some small folk. Hey, you. And he just kind of walks. You can see the sword at his side into the sheath. A little bit of conversation goes off. You can see one of the ballistas kind of track up, and as the person lets go, and it goes towards the ceiling.
Yeah,
but
the
he walks
energy
over.
around my hand just slowly fades.
Yeah. You can see all of a sudden, all of the stones behind you finally into place, the doorway fully open. This whole group just like armed and defending this. And for all of you who have been there, you see the colors of the citizenry of Kol on many of these dwarves. But this dwarf comes up. How the hell did you survive the dragon? You can see like behind you this kind of there's a central platform. You see a little like a control box almost. One of the dwarves goes over, kind of looks behind, and all of you guys have entered at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of looks behind. You can see manipulate something, and the bricks begin to close back up.
Which dragon?
The white one, the one that comes in from the north. You know If you know what the dragon is, I know they haven't been around.
Are you talking about Zazastar the Keen?
Don't know the fucking name, but
Well,
it's a white dragon.
Yeah, that's what it was, I think.
Suffice to say, it won't be bothering you anymore.
Without
make a persuasion check.
I'm pulling out one of its scales just to.
Okay, you yank out one of the scales. You see the eyes go to Akka. And immediately there's skepticism, but they turn. And even in the kind of flickering firelight that lights this place, you can see they widen a little bit. He kind of goes forwards. As he does, he smells bad. He gets up to you, and there is generally, this is a dingy group of dwarves. But he grabs the scale and he looks at it close. Oh, this is fresh.
Yeah,
Hands
yesterday.
it back to you.
That's not the only thing.
Well. He turns and looks at you for a second.
Only I had prestidigitation and not thaumaturgy.
We can gather snow from outside, but water you need to boil, and lighting fires in these halls can be dangerous. We figured out a few places that we can do it. But these statues, they're not as still as you'd like to think. But you killed the dragon, something that's made hunting very hard. That makes our lives much easier. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all from Kol Ram.
Yes, we escaped when Kindscale laid siege to it.
Yeah, we killed her too.
I whip out a purple scale.
You hear behind you, like the whole murmur goes through this crowd. There's now like 10 or 11 of them, and you see in the background there are more elderly dwarves and a few children that kind of are now lurking in the shadows that kind of lie on the outside of this area.
Yeah, it's safer now. I mean, safer for sure. It's still getting picked up from all the pieces that collapsed, but gold glows have kind of started to organize what seems to maybe be a little bit more of a
The happy
diplomatic
kind of murmur
organization.
goes down for a second as you say gold glows, and there's this
Yeah.
kind of like worry, and then as you say more diplomatic, curiosity, confusion.
Yeah.
It's the whole crowd is shifting. This is a whirlwind of emotion.
Yeah. And people died, but a lot of people are alive. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to keep doing this.
Oh man, that's amazing. You've killed not one dragon, but two.
Yeah, and neither by intent.
I intended to kill it.
Well,
I don't
right,
think
you're
you
right. You're right. The
accidentally
intent
killed
to
a
kill,
dragon.
intent to seek out, not so much. That was more happenstance.
You did the deed. The intent
Yes.
doesn't matter.
Right.
That is good to know, and some of us, I'm sure, will return home to Kol Erasta. But
Yes.
we found Kol Erasta here. This has been lost for a long time.
Yeah.
We
It's-
didn't think we'd be able to go back. We thought Kol Erasta was lost.
Nope. It was still standing. A bunch of ash kind of burying a lot of it, but I think they've gotten a bunch cleaned out by now. It's been like 2 weeks since we did that?
Since you guys did that, it has been 13. No, it's been like closer to 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost 3 weeks of repairs, so it's probably in good shape by now.
We'll have to have you'd hear out from the crowd somebody yell just like, so are we still trying to get through the maze? And you could hear him just go, yeah, no, we're still trying to get through the maze. We'll have to take a vote. He turns around. We'll take a vote on it. Don't worry. And people kind of start
Yes,
to murmur.
diplomacy.
and
Nice,
Maybe.
good. Bring that back.
In a
Well,
more
you don't survive fighting against each other when you're out here. Things got dicey pretty quick when we traveled north past the Lorebinder Academy. Shay, you were saying something?
in a more present sense, we are here for the Cold Forge. If you have any idea of where it might be.
The Cold Forge. Well, that would be in Kol Erasta, and we have been trying to get through. We didn't think we'd have a home left, and we needed to find another. This was fortuitous for us to find. We have made some progress, but these are dangerous places. The Dryerstone Maze, do you know anything about it?
Yeah,
Nope.
we've heard about
A giant in a maze.
what's the name of the fucking thing?
Well, look,
Frost giant. It's got a name. It sounds awful. It needs to eat 10 of its kin to be free.
yes, that is one of the big problems with navigating this maze. This place right here, and he gestures out, and you can see as he gestures, it's just a wall of dwarves now, like 30 of them. And he goes, clear away, and they kind of scatter and kind of move around.
Everlasting one, there's the name.
As they move, you can see better this hallway, beautiful statues of dwarves. Some have been cleaned off. You see some empty places, sconces for torches, not currently lit. A few are. You can see these little hovels kind of like lit up, and a few people kind of just scattered throughout. This is a Coltrum refugee camp, essentially. This is the Hall of Heroes. Each statue here represents a legendary figure in the Hill Dwarf history. If you become aggressive around them, and that can include lighting fire, so be very mindful. It can summon the spirits of the ancestors of this place to defend it. So just be careful.
Pacifists, right. Got it.
Through here, and past down a ways, there is a staircase, and down the stairs you will find the entryway to this maze. Hallways of granite, corridors that are not quite cylindrical. They almost look burrowed, and that makes me nervous in and of itself. But through it, and you could hear the screams and the wails, this creature travels. This everlasting one. A frost giant with at least 6 heads. We've heard tales of it. I have not seen it personally. None of us have, but it's something that you hear. Certainly.
I'll turn over to Morwen and be
You
like,
can see he shivers.
watch
a
it
little
be
bit.
a mouse.
But the maze we haven't been able to crack. We got through the doorway. We were able to get past a few things, but we've come across a little bit of a snare. 7 have gone in, and not one has come back.
Perhaps we can assist you.
Well, you
Whoa,
slayed
whoa.
2 dragons. I imagine this everlasting one just a nuisance for you. If you wouldn't mind clearing it out, I'm sure beneath there are treasures to be had, and we're after a home. Not powerful artifacts, which I'm sure you, looking at all of your armor and items and various things, seem to be a little bit more interested in.
Treasure.
Aka, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's get the lay of the land. What are the safe areas? Show us around.
Okay. It takes a little bit of time, and he shows you a few places, and they're mostly the places that the buildings have been built. There are almost these like glows that are cast by the torch that is above these individual buildings. And you can see here and there are areas that have especially around those sconces where there are little bits of cleared wall where clearly a fire has been lit recently, and just scratch marks. It looks like blades have dug into the stone itself nearby. Places that have been less safe to light fires. He shows you these and kind of points them out. And so after about 30 minutes of this, you guys feel as if you could navigate this room at least without inadvertently causing any serious issues. In mechanical terms, I will let you know if something you're about to do is going to really fuck your day up.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's this room. So there's a staircase that leads to the entrance
Yes.
of the maze.
Follow. And he kind of just leads you over, and you come to, let me find it here. On the northern side, so back past the doorway that you were at, once the crowd cleared, you would see this large, like a doorway that leads to a staircase. And this stair descends down about 40 feet to a long corridor about the same length, natural salt and pepper granite. And it's been smooth. You can see what he means by it being bored. It's far too smooth to be like a creature boring it, probably. But you can see the floor just kind of slopes into the walls before they become straight up, and then slopes into the ceiling before it comes flat. So there's no like right angles in these rooms. It's just peculiar.
Mm-hmm.
He points down this way, and it's dark past like 10 feet. Through this maze, there are all kinds of dangers, things meant to keep those not meant to be in the call out. The stories say back when this was an active community, a guide would come to bring you through. But without the dwarves of the call living, it is a deadly trap. There are other entrances apparently, but I do not know them.
What are they rumored to be?
That I could not tell you. One in the sky, apparently. We've taken it to mean on top of the mountain, not,
Yeah. Gotcha. A portal.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, thanks for the tour. What's your name?
Second here. I just don't want to give you guys the wrong name because then I'll get yelled about it in like 3 weeks when I have to say it again. The name's Steven. Us Ragnar. Us Ragnar or Pride. You can call me Usk.
Usk. Nice to meet you. My name's Heinrich.
Heinrich. And are you an adventuring outfit of some kind? Are you Red Shield or whatever the Sarantilians have?
No, but should you go back to Kulturam, they might fill you in a little more. They seemed to like us and stuck with a name. Not our choice, that's for sure.
What was the
I thought
name?
it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
They're
recall.
called the Finger Gang.
I don't recall. Oh,
He looks
yeah, I
at
think
you,
that's what
Aka,
they called
turns
it.
back. Make a deception check, Heinrich.
Oh yeah, sure, gladly. That's my highest fucking skill.
I know, you never get to use it.
25 with a shitty roll. Or not
He
shitty roll,
nods.
but an average roll.
You can't control your own nicknames, it's unfortunate.
Right.
I've heard of all kinds of strange adventuring groups. I mean, the first heroes, do you think they wanted to be called that? Probably not.
Right. It's probably something
Better than the
cooler.
Finger Gang.
We should be the second heroes.
Yeah. Sure. The follow-up heroes. The sucker punch heroes. All right, let's not do this right now.
You write something down.
Yeah,
No,
no.
I'm kidding.
Ooh,
So,
it's in the later.
Yeah, so what have you been able to scavenge from this sort of limited foray in? Anything of interest? Maybe
Fuel
precious
pieces of copper and
minerals?
silver.
Minerals,
No,
metals?
the mines would be beneath. Um, I don't know the exact structure of the coal, obviously. Nobody really does.
Hmm.
But the mines would be the deepest part. They always are.
Right. Only makes sense.
And
I look
for
over to
what it's
Morwen,
worth.
who seems to be pondering something. Oh, okay. Fair enough, since I'm talking to him. Well, you
This is
see,
also
if
so not something I would say.
that's true. So you see, if we do find a way through the maze and clear it out, or figure out a way to help you guys get inside, would you be willing to help us with something?
Absolutely.
Rumors of veins of diotic metal, or maybe not veins, but at least the raw ore.
Not familiar with it myself, but
It's a
like an
specific
iron or
kind of metal.
okay, yeah.
It's dense and powerful, potent stuff,
I'll need your help getting it.
or maybe doing something with it.
That too.
If you can get us through this maze, we'll help you out any way that you ask.
Easy enough. Sounds fair. Only fair. Great. I'm gonna look to everyone and be like, all right, guys. Little powwow back up in the main hall before we figure out what we're doing. Yep.
Yeah.
What's there to discuss? I mean,
Do you want to just jump right in? You seemed like you had something to say earlier. I just wanted to make sure that everyone got their voices heard.
well, I mean, I have something to say, but
Yeah, let's
I'll look
let's
over at
sidebar.
Usk.
I'll just message and be like,
I'll
yeah,
tell you what. I'll wait upstairs, and if you want to come back up, you come back up. But you know,
perfect.
I can take a hint.
Usk, thank you so much. Thank you for the warm welcome and not shooting us.
It turns out it would have been a terrible mistake. If you could kill a dragon, I don't imagine 3 ballistae are going to do much to you.
Fair
But,
point. Fair point.
Thank you, Finger Gang. And he turns and heads up the stairs. Anna catches on. It's unfortunate. You
I
guys-
actually
you
make
guys
that
chose it?
noise as he's leaving. Just.
Here as he goes up the stairs, he's just kind of chuckling. But you guys are left alone in this space.
Okay.
Do any of you find it strange that there are dwarves here?
No.
Well, when they fled from Kulturam, when Kindscale attacked, I guess that news never made it out to wherever you were before. They kind of went everywhere. Port Quinn, where I'm from, like saw a whole quarter of the city rebuilt that they just sort of moved in. I figured
Okay.
they spread everywhere. It doesn't seem too suspicious to me right now. I mean, if you wanted to go up and ask some questions, I have no problem with that.
I just think that, again, we need to be careful with the information that we give out to random strangers.
Sure.
When
I mean, telling
we
them
don't
we
know
killed a
what their
dragon,
motives
that's
are.
fine.
And we
We didn't
have
say
very
anything else.
powerful objects.
Yes.
Well,
that's
if we're
why that
going
wasn't
through,
mentioned. And he didn't know what diotic metal was. He didn't seem to.
right, but we're about to go with, again, very powerful objects to try and reforge them. We don't necessarily need a group of dwarven refugees getting involved. Do you see the issue with making a
Right.
deal with them?
It's more, do you think you could manipulate metal as well as a dwarf? I was trying to be resourceful,
I
not to
mean-
be like objectifying of a people's, but
You mine, right?
yeah. Oh, you're a dwarf. You love stones.
Wow.
It is. Would the Thazerakian or the technique be somewhat grasped given my background with
Certainly. So artificing is Fazarakian technique.
right.
That's what artificing is. Artificing largely gone from the world with the fall of the Skald in the early Third Age, when for reasons still kind of unknown, Gath just kind of went dark, and this sweeping empire of Dragonborn seemed to crumble overnight. Fazarakian techniques are artificing, and Diotic Metal, while not something used in everyday artificing, is something that you would know about, and you would know about the applications of.
Okay, so it is something that I could, in theory, do, given
Perhaps.
the...
You've never done anything like it. So to say that something that you could do would be really hard to determine, but you don't know the forge's properties, it's kind of a wild card, but potentially.
I mean, I think I have...
It's not wildly unrealistic to expect to be able to do so.
Okay. Then I will temper expectations, but remain cautiously optimistic.
Okay. You do that as an action.
So
How about a bonus action? Do you wipe
No.
the sweat from your brow as a bonus action?
Wait, so they
We
said
play all of D&D at initiative.
Oh, fuck no.
they said-
Conversations are just like insult battles.
So
Oh,
they
I got
said
a great
that,
idea for
like
one
the
shot.
spirits of the dwarves
Right.
were hanging around.
Right. They pointed out to us where they seem to be hanging out, so I have a loose grasp at least on, and I feel like we do, like you said,
Yes, you
mechanically.
and Heinrich especially, paying attention to it, it is almost like a grid, so very easy to predict.
So, like, all right. I mean, I don't know if this is really stupid, but like, one of the spirits maybe know how to get through.
They seem to be here more in like defense. I feel like if someone of their clan descendants were present, it would be a little different of a story, but
Well, has anyone asked how they're doing? Maybe they haven't had kindness in a long time. I'm sure people are coming in here and ransacking the place all the time. Maybe
yeah.
they want a gift.
And maybe if we let them know that we're here to clear out all the offals that are nested up in here and just, kindly use their forge and leave, they might be nice. You can totally try talking to them.
All right, I'm going up to one of the spots.
No, don't do it intentionally.
I'm just gonna say hello. Safely.
Is anybody
at a
stopping
safe
Morwen?
distance.
I'm getting very ready to do very kind things, not
Okay.
attack.
In all fairness, the thing is, it's that like you can get close to them, just don't like
It's
make
not
a
like they're
fire or
there.
like throw things at the
Don't-
statue.
He said specifically to not do anything aggressive or looks like intrusive or whatever
Yeah.
in these areas.
All right, so at a safe distance, I'm gonna say hello.
So there are a variety in this hallway of statues, dozens.
Pick the friendliest one.
Okay, make a perception check.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna just like, oh, that one looks like it might be smiling.
Might I
at us.
argue that would be
Statue seems
insight?
friendly.
Statue insight.
No, because you're looking with your eyes. Statues, believe it or not, have very few feelings.
Well, that's probably why they're so mad.
No,
You
I'm
can
better
certainly
at
try.
perception. Stop. All right, so it's a 22.
22. You come across this. Really interestingly, this is a dwarf statue that you've seen another statue of. Way back in Kulturam, you remember the Dawnfather's Ziggurat. There were two statues in the courtyard that you. Oh, you know what? Yeah, you had looked at them from over top. This one is another. This is the third time you've seen this dwarf in statues. It's a fairly famous dwarf. You saw it also outside of the Bearded Consortium. This is a dwarf who is known as the founder of evocation magic, sort of the godfather of evocation magic for the dwarves. You go up, and you can see this kind of long red, or it's not red, it's just stone, long cloak. You can see this kind of almost plate mail-like armor, although it curves in. You've never seen a design like it, but they do have a gentle smile on the stone face. You go up. And it's about your height with the little pedestal that it's on. What do you say to it?
Hello.
It looks at you as it has been, because it's a statue with stone eyes that don't blink. And it responds in a similar way that you might expect.
I see what you're getting at. How do you say hello in Dwarven? Dwarvish.
What?
How do you say hello in Dwarvish?
I don't know.
I would say it in Dwarvish.
And then you would say it in Dwarvish.
Hello in Dwarvish.
So you say "sald," and as you say that, the statue is a statue, and it statues at you actively.
Now, is that an
I'm
action?
Morwen.
Free action. You are still Morwen. Yeah, that's true. And the words hang in the air. The statue does not respond.
All right. As you're doing that, I'm just kind of looking over to Akka and Shay and like, so, and I guess Karanza, like, so plans, thoughts. What are we?
I'm gonna keep
What are
talking
we
to the
expecting?
statue.
Okay, yeah, you have a little conversation with the statue. You learn very little about it. He's not kind of like the silent type, but you know. You talk to Akka.
Well, I'm talking to everyone else while Morwen's busy.
Sure.
All right, guys.
Busy.
Psycho in the corner.
Plans. Actual plans. Not the plans.
Karanza kind of looks over. You know, just because it's not a good plan doesn't mean it's like not a plan. You know?
That's why I called it a plan.
Fair enough. Yeah, so we're going into this maze of spooky things and death.
Yeah, the Maze of Ire. That's what it's called. I think that's a key also.
No, I think you're talking about the Halls of Ire. Those are...
Oh, I'm sorry. That's where we may have been near.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty
Never mind.
sure we were kind of close to there because it's like this fabled giant thing in the Squall.
Right. This is the Maze of, what did he call it? What did Ulrich call it?
Heroes. Hall of Heroes.
The Hallway of Heroes is what you were just in with all those what you're currently in with all the statues.
Okay.
He called it the Drierstun Maze. Drierstun is a name.
Okay. It yields no clues.
Make a history check.
Okay. That yields no clues.
What was it?
It's a 9.
Yeah, no idea. It's a name. It sounds like a name.
Mm.
A first name.
I mean, we're gonna have to go through sooner or later. No
Just didn't
point.
know if anyone had any prep that was gonna help.
I mean, does anybody need like dark vision? It's kind of dark down there.
Got it.
You're good.
I'm gonna put on my mask.
Okay, you take out this beautiful gilded gold and red feathered hawk mask that Gamble crafted for you. And as you do, the world comes into this gray-hued vision, and you can see much better. The dwarves around you, for what it's worth, attention instantly drawn to this. You can see people like appreciating this. You hear as you go by, there are people who are like, "Do you see that?" And you hear like another voice from down there. What is that red metal? And then just all these comments. It is a beautiful work. And the dwarves here definitely recognize it.
Oh, I thought you meant me talking to the statue. My bad.
No, you get some weird looks for sure.
Well,
It's not like
nothing new.
appreciating like, oh man, what a great cat this is. It's definitely like a okay.
Yeah. That killed a dragon?
You know, there's like a little kid looking at you, and mom comes over. Is like, no, don't look. But you, yeah. So for sure, I lost my train of thought because you know.
It's all right. We were ready
Sorry.
to head down. The dark vision, the mask was
Yeah.
on. They were appreciating
People
its craftsmanship.
appreciate it. Karanza touches the transmuter stone that is fused into the armor on her chest. It shifts to be that kind of dull blue purple that you can relatively assume means that she has dark vision now. She looks at all of you. All right, so we ready to go? Heinrich, you go in front?
I suppose.
Or what about you,
Not
Akka? You
particularly
can,
good at
you
looking.
just fought a dragon.
I can lead the way, I guess.
I'll keep my detect magic pinging up until at least a combat starts, just to see if there's anything hidden. Especially because you mentioned evocation magic and the statue of that guy. So,
Sure.
and it's a maze. There's fucking traps. Like,
Yeah,
it will be.
it's not great.
It's a-
So, are you guys heading into this maze?
Yes.
I
Alright.
guess I'll give my final words to the statue and just be like, all right, well, you know, we're going to try the maze now. So if you decide that you want to join, you know, you're welcome to. Have a good day. Nice talk.
The statue waves to you. No, I'm kidding. The statue is still a
Imagine
fucking
if it's
statue.
just not
Yeah, I know,
talking to
right?
me. It's just.
The statue takes its hat off and waits for a tip.
The statue is like, what? No.
Oh, but you're talking to me.
Oh crap! He's got pods
Sorry,
in.
I got the AirPods. So you guys descend the stairs. As you get to the bottom, so just as a rough descriptor for this, the tunnels, the corridors in this maze, the ceiling is about 12 feet off the ground, and the corridors are about 10 feet wide. They are fairly uniform, and so you guys can walk to across. But what is your marching order? How are you guys progressing through this? At least to start.
I feel like I would be up for, if we can do side by side.
Yep.
I would be up with Akka if he was going to take the front, or at
Okay,
least
you and
whoever
Akka on
else
the
is
front.
better at perceiving than I am. But I want to be up there for magic sweeping.
I think it would be in the back if Heinrich and Akker on the front.
Okay.
I'll
Morwen?
grab the middle with Carranza.
All right, Kronza stands in the middle with you.
Lucky you. Buddy system.
So, in running D&D for about 12 years, I have learned that mazes are really shitty in D&D.
Very
so
hard.
We are treating D&D as a terrain. Or sorry, we're treating this maze as a terrain. It is not you guys having to chart your way through an actual maze. I did create the actual maze, so you can try
Right.
that if push comes to shove.
I mean,
But,
you can just tell me lefts and rights, and I'll start drawing it for fun. But
if you want. However, Heinrich and or Akka, either both of you can make a 20-sided dice roll, or one of you can do it twice. This is a different kind of survival chart than what we normally have. The way that this is going to work, this is basically a group skills challenge. As you progress, you will need to get 5 successes before you get 5 failures, or before you get 3 failures, something like that. There are things, obviously, that wander through this maze. There are traps. There are a variety of fun things that you can wander through. For each stage of this, as you are making your checks, if one of you wants to use a skill in some way to assist, so for instance, Akka right now is essentially using his perception skill to help you, Heinrich, you can tell me, and that is going to give advantage for that roll. Once you've used the skill, if you're going to use it again, it gets a little harder. So be
It's like
mindful
climbing the
about what
mountain
you
that we
use. Exactly.
Cool.
Group skills challenge. So during this first leg, what did you roll, Heinrich?
Oh, you said either both of us roll or.
Oh yeah, so whichever you guys want to do.
Matt, what would you like to do?
Well, if
Yeah,
he's
I have
the
no
eye,
preference.
It makes sense that he's using the eyes.
Yeah,
That
I guess.
sounded weird, but you know what I mean.
But I also have the
Here,
detect
use my
magic
eyes.
sweeping kinda. Oh, here. Fool. Yeah. Wait, that's from Beetlejuice.
So, is somebody
Let's
rolling?
both roll because we're
There you
both
go.
perceiving in different ways.
There you go. Yeah, one listens, one looks.
Well, that was
Natural 20.
Okay, I got a
Okay.
3, so thank God.
Wow, okay. Big difference there.
Yeah, almost a
Natural
full swing.
20.
Holy shit.
So, you guys begin to traverse down this. You travel left. This is a complex maze. You see sections where, because it's curved, you'll go straight and then it will curve back around on both sides to itself. And it will branch out in like 5 different directions. The paths are so uniform that in certain sections, just standing is very disorienting because it's just the salt and pepper granite that travels throughout the entire space. And so you lose definition as the hallways kind of traverse.
It's the kind of thing where you walk by like an entrance and you don't see it until you're at the right angle, kind of thing.
Certainly.
Boom.
And to that point,
Or cool.
there is a point where you actually go by, and all of you walking by, more when you almost walk into Akka kind of stops. And Akka, just for a second, you see the briefest glint of this kind of darker space. And moving around, you can see there is this entryway. And I'm going to say with the natural 20, you guys get 2 successes right off the bat.
Holy shit.
As Akka finds a shortcut for you guys, cutting a little bit of time
Nice.
off that.
Ooh.
You end up reaching a section where the path both descends and ascends. There's like 2 different sections that split off, and it's one cavern, but then kind of splits into a tunnel down, and the cavern that you were in continuing up. At this point, which way would you like to go, and is there something that you would like to do to help?
I'm gonna be like, hey, can you send your owl to scout ahead and see?
Yeah, she wouldn't be super comfortable, but okay.
I
I'll
don't
do a
think
little.
any of us are very comfortable down
Yeah,
here.
well, yeah, I know, but
I'm fine.
But we made the choice to come here. I don't. Whatever. It's fine. Nod'll take care of it. So I'll have Nod go down the lower one first, just until like any change at all happens. Sort of like fly until it seems like either fine or suspicious. Turn around, come back, and then check the other one.
So basically, fly until there's something of note, and then come back.
Exactly.
Okay.
I will say I was laughing because for some reason, since it's like inside, I'm picturing Nod just like walking on the ground. So it's just like
This little owl just slow. It takes for fucking ever.
45
Doing
minutes
like
to
the
come
pigeon
back.
walk, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stops, picks up some seed. Just kidding.
So you watch Nod, this little barn owl, the surprisingly wide wings spread out and quietly coasting down the tunnel. Heinrich, you shut your eyes, the one gold eye, the one black eye, closed in the darkness here. And suddenly there's air and you are moving. You can sense through your familiar. You go down the bottom one. Oh, sorry.
I don't think it says it anywhere in the rules, but does the detect magic translate?
It does not.
Okay.
You feel the sensation of the air going by you. You go down these paths. There are areas where they branch off. You don't find much very remarkable before you lose 100 feet away at the distance.
Mm-hmm.
You call Nod back, and all of a sudden the connection reestablishes. Nod lands, turns, and back.
Mm-hmm.
You do the same thing up the top. Roll a twice-sided dice and roll it at advantage.
That first one's a fucking natural 20. Second one's a 17.
Damn.
Hell yeah.
17.
I love Nod.
I like a challenge.
Nod is my
Nod.
friend. Yeah, can I opt for the 17?
Yeah, sure, if you want.
No, I don't.
I
I don't want
It's just nice to know we have the option.
You know what? This is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Nod goes up and comes across a larger kind of chamber for the first time. The path that you would go on does continue, and you, in your eyes, see Nod kind of just land. The owl putting its wings back, the big head turning, and Heinrich, you see on the left side, there are iron doors set into the stone. 5 feet tall, maybe 5'5", not quite 6 feet. Definitely size for a dwarf. Unclear what this is. This is some kind of a room, perhaps. And then Nod's head turns, and you can see the tunnel continue. And as it does, you, for the first time on the very end, see markings, perhaps. You get the sense that might be the right way. That might be your natural 20.
Sure.
This thing over on the left, this might be your 17, some other thing.
Okay. Nod comes back. Poof, Nod away. Good idea, Akka. And yeah, I think it's that. I'll just point and then say this way.
All right.
All right.
Keep walking.
Yep.
You guys begin to ascend this path.
Detect magic always.
Okay.
I'm just going to
always
keep
up.
saying it.
You travel up and move about 100 feet away until you come across this juncture where there is this iron door on the left, and all of you can see it. And then the path continues straight ahead. You guys just go straight ahead?
Can I inspect the door?
Make an investigation check.
Check it out.
Oh, see, like, is it locked? Is it like magically trapped in any way? That's 16, I believe.
Okay. You go and you look at the door. Very dusty. Dust over the ages has kind of settled in, but you notice it settling on the top of it in a very peculiar way. This dust clears off, and there are Dwarvish Ruins. Do you read Dwarvish? You can see it says staff only. Very peculiar. And on the handle, there's like an iron ring. You could pull it. You look around. You kind of inspect it. You don't see any traps. You don't see any locks even. As far as you can tell, this is an open door. Or an unlocked door. The door is physically closed.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm recalling the whole, like, don't be aggressive. Like,
Says
would
staff
trespassing as non-staff be a mark of aggression?
I'll like
He
come
had said-
next to you and put my hand on your shoulder and be like, "That's the right thought. I'm reading your mind." No, I'm not.
He had said within the hallway
my
of heroes, nobody's gone into this maze and come back. So they don't know about this. You have no idea if that still applies.
And we wouldn't either. Okay.
I'm curious what's behind the staff door now, though.
Let me see.
It's probably just a break room, you guys.
Hold on 1 second.
Can I?
Morwen, at level 14, what do rogues get?
Oh, I was like, I'm not a rogue. Blind sense.
2 years later. What are you talking about?
What does blind sense do specifically?
I've been a bard this whole time.
Surprise!
Imagine a bard with no spells or anything.
Not even an instrument
College
of any
is
kind.
real.
You were able to hear. Oh, if
College
you were
is
able,
speak.
I can hear. No, if you're able to hear, you're aware of the location of any hidden or invisible creatures within 10 feet of you.
Okay.
Is there any?
No, there is not.
Aw.
Sorry. So I, without knowing the full text of it, you don't really notice anything. You do hear underneath. There is like a steady hum, not a creature, but with that blind sense, you do get the general sense that there is like something active on the other side of the door.
There's something active on the other side of that door.
And Heinrich, you looking with your detect magic, you don't see anything.
Okay.
Maybe it's
Should we
stacked.
just
and they
take
can
just a peek?
I have a better idea.
Should we
How
knock
rapidly am I?
politely?
As actions are 6 seconds, right?
Sure.
Running this by you. Could I perceive with enough time to get details if I were to summon Nod, look through Nod's eyes, and then desummon Nod right on the other side of the door? Because per the text on the spell, it does not need to be a space I can see, just an unoccupied space within 30 feet of me.
We've talked about this. Yes, you can certainly do that.
I'm
So
gonna fucking do that. I'm gonna
you
nod the other side of the
technically-
door. and look.
I do believe you need to see it. I believe because I remember we read that. But this is a doorway. There's a gap under the door. You can look and then summon Nod like a couple inches on the other side. No problem.
If there's a crack under the door, then sure, yeah, I'll just get the reticle to point an inch in front of the door.
You watch as Heinrich
Heinrich
presses
is on
control and
hands and
crouches
knees.
down.
Yeah. Repeatedly. It's
The hand
dance
kind of
move.
turns. Yeah, exactly. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Heinrich
Glitches
emotes really
through
quick,
half
and
the
then
wall.
yeah, he emotes really quick, and then looks
clip.
underneath, and suddenly Nod appears on the other side. You
Strats.
close your eyes and look through Nod's. The room that you see on the side is fairly small, and there are these two large, like glass tubes that have openings. And you can see that they kind of go up at an angle and then kind of disappear into the stone. There are a number of these like stone like cylinders all lined up after each other. Nod kind of tilts the head and you can see a little further up. You can see there are containers roughly the size of coffins kind of stacked up next to these things. These seem to be conveyor belts of some kind.
Sure. Like the pneumatic mail system, but for bodies. It's not a thing that hasn't been. We haven't come across that before, so that doesn't exist. But
They're the size of coffins. They're rectangles. These are like almost like shipping crates.
Oh, okay.
But you could imagine a person laying down would fit just fine.
Sure. No danger immediately present, correct?
But you can see, you hear now that Nod listens, like this faint, almost kind of hum, and as Nod kind of, to your point, like pigeon walks over a little bit and kind of looks a little closer. These stones are very slowly turning.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just dismiss Nod and relay that. Be like, does that sound of interest?
Sounds like something that we might want to look into.
Sure, maybe they have.
Does it
Diotic
sound
Metal
like
in it.
maybe like something from like what's the word? Like a granite excavation site or something?
Like a quarry?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
No, but what I would say is you do remember that this gentleman upstairs had told you when this place was active, the idea was that a guide would come and lead you to your destination. if somebody's coming here bringing a whole bunch of stuff from IKEA, it's going to be tough for them to lug that through this dangerous maze. So you would imagine there are probably places in here where the baggage is dropped off first before the rest of the trek is made. This could very easily be sort of the baggage shipping point.
Okay.
So,
I think
let
I'd like
everyone stand back.
carefully.
I'll get the door, or do you want to get the door?
I think I'll carefully open it and like take a peek through.
Okay. You pull the door open, sticks at first, but easily enough opens. It hasn't been opened in a very long time, you would imagine. You step in kind of underneath and entering into the room, which is tall enough for you to stand in. Looking around, you see what Heinrich described, these sort of these stone rollers that are turning ever so slightly, very slowly. And you can see they go up this kind of tunnel. Seems to be sized about, not quite perfect, maybe a little tiny bit of room on either side, but these wooden containers, many of which are kind of mildewy looking, would probably fit on and go up.
Yeah. Seems like some sort of transport, but
Right.
I don't know if we want to go up there.
It might be the equivalent of a shortcut, although the speed at which this is moving is quite slow, and I don't feel comfortable crawling for an undetermined amount of time through a tight space. I've done that before, not very fun.
You can see
So
Karanza
without
goes
knowing
over
the
these
depth-
containers.
But like I'm into it. Or
Leave it up.
didn't you say there's
leave it up
another
to
way
you.
that you were more sure of?
The other way felt a little more confident, but that's like, the progression path that may lead us towards danger. This is
Well,
Karanza
what?
what's the
looks
difference?
at these crates as you guys are talking and kind of picks up one of the tops and kind of seems to hold it over. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty tight fit. This is going to be like an airtight container.
Let's not do this. Is there anything in any of them?
She kind of starts looking through.
I'll
A
start
little
looking
time
through.
goes by. Sure, make an investigation check.
I'd like to look through.
Make an investigation check.
Yay.
Okay, that is 18.
Okay.
Mine is 14.
Okay. Aka, are you looking as well?
I guess so.
Everyone, grab a box.
Shay, are you looking?
Mine's at 26.
Sure, I'd help.
Make an investigation check. 26. Okay.
Wow.
You do find stuff. Aka does.
18.
Yeah.
18. Okay. Morwen, Heinrich, Karanza, and Shay, you guys go through some of these boxes. You don't find much. Aka, you look at these boxes. They're stacked up very neatly. These are like clearly the boxes that haven't been used. You go over to these stone rollers. You start looking underneath and between, and you find this little lead box. Small. At one time, probably a little bit more ornate, although you can see the metal is kind of warped over time. And as you pick it up, the lid is kind of warped away. It doesn't close all the way. It swings open a little bit, and you see within it there is this beautiful rectangular piece of glass. And within there is this dark ink. But even as you kind of turn it and open it fully, you see little tiny bolts of lightning that kind of ripple through. It's almost like ink that kind of flows in this piece of glass back and forth. The glass is set into an oval backing of copper that is polished copper chains that seem to be, this is like a cloak clasp. But that is what you find.
I think it doesn't appear to be magic or cursed or anything, right?
Doesn't appear to be magic.
I
If
see
you
this?
want, it's not magical.
Okay. If it's just like a nice looking cloak clasp, I think I'd take it.
Yeah, sure, you take it. You can add a cloak clasp. to your
What you got
inventory.
there, guy?
Just a clasp.
Looks
Looks
like a little
is it
more than
like
just
can
a
I
clasp.
attach it to my cloak?
Yeah, so you take off the very simple kind of, you unhook the chain. It's just a chain that goes into each other, and you kind of you clip this thing in. It's very simple, kind of like iron chain that then transitions to this beautiful polished copper. But yes, it holds it, and as it sits on your chest, all of you see little tiny pinpoints of lightning ripple through this black ink that seems to kind of go back and forth in this class.
The real question is it stylish? Does it look good?
Looks great.
Nice.
That looks awesome.
Morwen.
Pretty cool.
Make a history check. I know it's not your best, but
There's always a chance.
see,
That's
you
not my
vaguely-
absolute worst. Ah, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That's an 8.
Yeah, no idea what this is.
Phew. Pretty.
Looks nice.
Good find. Good find.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we?
Sure.
Yeah.
Back
No,
to
I
the,
think we should probably take the long way.
That's what I meant. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I was pointing behind me.
So you
Out
guys
the room,
turn
down the 20 hallway.
the 20
Yeah.
hallway. Morwen, you had something you wanted to say?
No, I don't know. I mean, so there's like lightning in this thing? Well,
Gotta
I mean,
get
I
a
guess I
little
already
closer
failed my
and
history
look at
check,
it.
so I was just like, because the only dwarf that I've ever been close to's got a thing with lightning, and now we're in a dwarf maze and there's more lightning, and I'm just like, what's up with
True.
this?
The thing that really bugs you though, it's this inky stuff. Something about it, but
There's something
it's-
about
maybe,
that inky
maybe
stuff.
maybe Finn talked about something similar, but you don't pay great attention when he goes into his talks about like different things in the ocean. Some of the stories are good, but this was maybe more of like a fact-based thing.
Mm. I do have a very short attention span.
But you do
I've
gather
now
that
already
this
forgotten about the clasp. No, I'm just
yeah, this clasp probably in some way is related to an ocean or oceans or ocean creatures.
On we go.
You begin to walk. So, as a group, you have 4 successes. You travel up this path, and it is fairly straight. There are a few things that kind of branch off, but you continue down this path that seems almost like it is like predetermined. This is very purposeful in its design. It ascends for a little bit, and then you feel the ground get colder as it seems to drop steadily. You reach a point. 1 second here. You reach a point where there is sort of another room that you come to, 30 feet in diameter. The floor is a little irregular. There are 2 paths to the left and to the right, and the ground here is a little different. You notice it's irregular, but there is almost like a gridding to it. Like at one point, maybe this had cross hatching to allow better grip. Although over the years, or maybe through frequent travel, that's been worn away. So you see just suggestions of it. You can go to the left or you can go to the right. Is there anything that you would like to do before rolling 20 to essentially just choose one and walk?
Let me take a look here.
There's nothing notably different between the two in terms, like, there's no like
Make a perception
dwarven
check.
writing above or anything.
Make a perception check. You can look at them.
Yeah, I'm kind of just looking for shiny objects.
Make an investigation check if you're going to look for shiny objects.
That's a 26 again.
Okay, 26. There's no writing.
Ooh, 18 shiny
18.
objects.
As you're looking through the darkness, you do see a little glint. It disappears. You see it again. You turn. It's just the reflection of Aka's pendant.
I was about
kind
to
of
say, I
dancing
find
really
the
across.
clasp
offended.
again.
You do find the clasp, but it is
Ooh,
currently
aw.
worn. Yeah. There aren't really objects left around here. It's a fairly clean place. There's dust. Nothing shiny. However, what I will say is, Heinrich and Aka, since you are leading this group, why don't each of you roll 20-sided dice? That is going to represent the advantage given to you by Morwen's investigation check.
Ooh. Just flat 20-sided.
Yep.
I got a 6.
And
Okay.
an 18.
18. Okay. Morwen, you look around, kind of eyeing these paths. The one on the left, there's something about it that to you sets off like little alarm bells in the back of your head. And you're recognizing it's because it does taper slightly. And for you, if you were going to set a trap, that kind of narrower point in the path is where you would do so. To the right, you get the sense that maybe not necessarily safer, but you don't see a place where it narrows into like a choke point. And that feels a little safer.
I will let you guys know my feelings.
Seems like then our path is determined.
Okay. You guys head down the right path.
Wow, you're trusting me. That's so nice.
Look at
When
that.
it comes to that kind of stuff, sneaky shit.
Fair
Sneaky
enough.
shit. I defer
What
to
would I
Morwen.
do? Yeah.
So you travel for a time. Another hour goes by. It's hard to really tell what time it is, but you would imagine you're starting to wear into the afternoon to the evening. The feeling of where you are begins to change. The echoes change. You hear something larger up ahead. A larger space, not a creature of any kind. Give me a second here. Before too long, no more than 2 hours, you come to a place that opens up even more, and it's dark. You get to a tunnel, branches off to the right, but you can tell ahead of you it slopes down and then up, and you see a point that is reminiscent of an outside town or village. There are tons of kind of buildings that go 1 to 2 stories high. They are varied and kind of different. They represent the owners, perhaps. They're a little bit more eclectic than Kulturam was. You can see there are almost kind of like 3 layers to it. There's a main layer with buildings on either side, and then 10 feet down from that, these 2 almost like lower roads, and houses are on the exterior of those. There are gutters that flow down from the top layer into the bottom one and then drains there. And looking up, you can see on the ceilings, because it's not terribly high up, you can see, for those of you with dark vision, no more than 40 feet up, there are little like drains on top, and you would imagine rainwater somehow makes its way down here. There is like an artificial rain that then falls into the sewers here. Perhaps how they gather water. You can see the narrow strips of land that go between the buildings here. There is dirt that has been packed on top of the earth, and you would imagine when this was a living place, little bits of gardens and things of that nature would have existed, but now just dirt. You can see branching little avenues that kind of go in, but in front of you, this is like what Gunter would have known as an upworlder town. The sort of towns that exist on the top layer of Alberon. Granite and brown smooth stone that seems to be maybe more structurally sound that serves as a foundation to these buildings. There are wooden beams that are accents to corners and faux supports to awnings. There is dust and dirt and debris that does seem to be pushed up against the various structures. It isn't settled on the ground here as it has been previously. And to Shay especially, you and some of the rest of you as well, but you notice that there is a bit of a wind here in this underground space, which is odd. Here and there, largely crumbling, there are piles of bones that were once remains. Many of them are broken, as if they have fallen a great distance or shattered. The ceilings at their highest points, again, no more than 50 feet tall. But you are now within Kol Erasta, the first sort of section. And going further in, you can certainly explore it a little bit and try to figure out your way through. But at the moment, what would you guys like to do?
Oh, well, looks like we found it.
Yeah, 2 natural 20s does that.
I'll do it. Huh.
So now what do we do?
You guys didn't even hear any screaming over the course
I
of
know.
this thing.
I'm very paranoid still. I mean, this whole area seems eerie as hell. So we're in the like lead-in city area. And the road, it's just like a road that looks to be like the main one.
So it's a main road. You'd have to go further in to kind of see off to the left or the right, because there are buildings that kind of rise up on either side.
Mm-hmm.
You can see ahead of you at the very, very far end. This seems to be like 40 feet wide, and then it goes around like a huge ring of structures. It stretches out beyond your vision on either side. You can see there seems to be an avenue that would normally head straight ahead. There is a collapsed ceiling that closes that in. You could investigate it to see kind of the extent of that, but that is the basic structure here.
Okay. Kind of look around to everyone. Check another cool thing we've done. Found a lost coal of the dwarves. You guys want to head in?
Let's look for the forge.
Yeah. Let's try to find it.
Sure. So you begin to progress forwards into the space. It's dark. Shay with your mask on, the rest of you with dark vision, Carranza with her dark vision cast. You're able to see in tones of gray. There are a lot of inns here. You can see signs hung above in the wind, some of them still kind of hanging, and there is this kind of eerie, abandoned sort of feel to this place. Here and there, you'll hear loudly as a door swings open on its hinges and hits a wall. Slowly shut. Happens again. Just the breeze that goes through here. It's not a quiet place necessarily.
I don't like that.
But you see many inns, various languages, mostly Dwarvish, but not all. This seems to be, and I would actually say both Heinrich, anybody who can read Dwarvish, there are a few signs that mark this place as a place in Dwarvish known as Inrut Holt, which means traveler's den. This is kind of like a visitor's section. As you get closer towards this kind of caved in section, you can see it appears as if some great impact collapsed the ceiling down, ceiling 30 feet in a mountain of rubble. Beyond it, if you were to look closely, you can see there is another kind of open, dark space beyond a couple other, not buildings, but doorways. The ceiling beyond much lower, much more dwarven in nature as you get further in. But here, as you turn back behind, you almost look down into like a little town that you would see above. Fewer windows in the houses, less scenery. To the left, as you get up, you can see there is a large iron gate, another one to the right. This entire section, probably no larger than 6 city blocks, probably in total. Before you reach the rubble to the north, an iron gate to the left, and an iron gate to the right. To the right, you can see there is like large handles that perhaps 4 people maybe would open traditionally. This gateway is closed, but it is marked as the Hammer Smelt Gate in Dwarvish above. What would you guys like to do?
If this is a visitor center, and that's the vibe we're getting, I want to look for a directory or a map or some sort of layout so I can get an idea of where we are.
Heinrich, you backtrack a little bit to the beginning of the space, and as you walk in, there is almost like a pie wedge-shaped building. The point of it faced in towards you, windows on either side that are shuttered. Looks almost like an information kiosk, and so you go up and kind of slide one of the windows open. Within, immediately, there's this kind of skeleton that forward in the chair, dwarvish skeleton.
I kind of like creep back.
Yeah. Wearing, just very simple kind of moth-eaten cloth. But behind him, you do see a stack of these little canvas kind of rolls, many of them badly damaged, but Heinrich, without too much trouble, you could find a map to the first layer that you are on of this coal.
Cool.
This is known as the Everbright Band, this particular level. You can see it is a giant ring that encircles a central space that seems to have a keep of some kind, like a fortress. And through that fortress is access down to the next band. Mm-hmm. Unlike the Kol Erasta rings, these are separated into bands, and they don't connect in the same way. They're not these sweeping structures. These are, as you look at it, there are doorways that then go into connecting caverns and caves or rooms. Those are the dwarven houses here. There aren't walls and roofs. They're just dug into the rock, these tunnels. This band goes around. You can see to the right, that Hammer Smelt Gate leads to a section that is called Fud Jalagit, which is Dwarvish for Jalag's Folly. The Jalag you recognize is kind of a giant name. There's like some things labeled there. Beyond that, there is the Emberweald Gate, and through the Emberweald Gate, you get to a section that is labeled as Ard Sot Ren, which is the Avenue of the Prodigal Summer. This is a very detailed map.
Yeah. I'll expect an email later.
Yes, I'll give you an email later. And if you check out our Instagram, at Alberon RPG, I will post the full map of this structure.
Does it look like the space is open, as in it's just like a big pit leading up to the keep?
So it looks as if each of these there's several sections. There's roughly 4 huge districts or large districts that are separated into this one that you're in, which is called Inrut Holt. It's just customs. It's Traveler's Stop is what it stands for. There's Jalog's Folly, which is the next one to the right. Then through there is the Avenue of Prodigal Summer, and then the something that's called Tanner's Bend. And then the largest section, this huge section, is called Everbright Agfinro, which is roughly Everbright Agricultural Horizon. And it seems to be this sweeping farmland almost. Although how they would work underground, hard to imagine. These each lead, in each section, there is one avenue that leads inwards to a central area that has something that is called... I got notes all over the place for this thing.
Mm-hmm. It's only a legendary lost keep. Better.
I know. It's called the Chainbreaker's Overwatch. That keep is what guards the access to further levels of the Kol.
Right. And again, though, the paths that lead to it, are those tunnels or are they open air like platforms?
They're
like
avenues. So you would gather based on what you can kind of see on this map. They're low-ceilinged tunnels that have doors off, and each door is essentially a house or building.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Obviously relaying all that information to everyone, pointing out on the map, and so I don't know. Looks like if I were a cold forge, I would probably be at the bottom, based on the story too from the elemental deluge. I'm guessing it's pretty low into the ground where some sort of rift happened.
And you had heard, in all the various recountings you've heard of the Cold Forge, you know that there is, and actually having read that book that you got, you know that there is deep within the earth this rift where the elemental plane of fire, the elemental plane of ice connect in this violent sort of area where the Cold Forge exists.
So
on that map, I mean, you know, priorities, but is there like a bank or something?
I mean, around here, places to gather things that may be of use would probably be the agricultural looking spot.
What about these inns?
Or
Maybe they got some coin in there?
Sure, they probably do, but do you want to go poking around that badly, or do we want to just kind of do what we're here?
You're right, I'll do it conveniently.
Yeah, like, you know, that one over there while we're figuring out what we're doing, I suppose.
Alright, I now have an assignment.
No,
I feel like I was
just
just given permission to go loot, so I'm gonna go.
You see Morwen immediately about face and turn to the nearest kind of inn. This 2-story structure, there's a porch on the 2nd story where you could overlook the rest of this kind of little avenue that goes up. More when you go up to the door, you can see the door is open. It's dark within. There's some tables, chairs that are turned over. You can see in the nearest table, like sprawled out, the skeleton kind of lying back, armor, and just the armor is torn open in a weird way. Scraps of leather, so torn, not cut. But you can see beyond, there is a bar. It looks like the wall is like a wine holder kind of thing. So you see a couple bottles back there that glint in the darkness. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm looking. I've got plenty of wine. No, you know what? I'm gonna take one random bottle of wine.
Okay. You enter the space. Looking in, you can see there's about 3 bodies kind of in various conditions, many of them hurled into things, it looks like. You walk over to this bar. As you touch it, it's this beautiful obsidian bar, probably very expensive at one point. You travel
I take
over to
it.
the side
No.
of it. Heinrich could try.
Heinrich, I need your help.
Yeah. Go back, you take one of these bottles, and you can add a bottle of, it is not wine, as it turns out. It is a bottle of dwarvish liquor, and you do not know what kind it is, but it is a kind.
Okay. And is there, now that I'm behind the bar, is there any little safes that might have
Make an investigation check.
some gold? All right, it's a 14.
14. You look around. You don't find like a safe. However, there is like a little drawer, almost looks like a silverware drawer. And as you pull it out, a couple coins come to the bottom of this drawer. If you would like, you can add 3 pieces of gold and 21 pieces of silver. No copper.
Cool.
It is a different mint than what you are used to. These are rectangular coins, and you can see this very stern-looking woman on one side, and on the back side, as you turn it over, it reads Everbright.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back with my findings. Just the actually just the wine,
It's not.
just the liquor.
Ah, so the
Drinks
usual.
on the house.
So the usual, I see. All right. In that time that was happening,
Mm-hmm.
could we have figured out?
Could you have done something productive?
Yeah.
What
So,
would you have liked to figure out?
which way would you guys like to go? Because it looks like we have to go to one of these other sections to get to the middle. I don't think we can dig our way through that collapse.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Can I
Anyone?
take a look and see if that's true, or if there's like a way that we can clear this path to the center?
So, what are you asking me? You make an investigation check if you want to learn more about this cave-in. How you want to deal with it is entirely up to you, but
Yeah. That's a 26.
Okay. You look at the way that the rubble has fallen. There are gaps, which suggest, it's not a thick cave-in. Your eyes trace the nature of the stone up into the ceiling, and you realize there isn't necessarily a ceiling above it. This cave-in is holding in a lot more earth than stone above. You'd imagine you theoretically, yes, you could. You would need to be very careful digging through. This is weight bearing.
Mm-mm. So, does it seem like something like collapsed it from above, or this was like a natural cave-in? What are we looking at?
What'd you roll?
26.
With a 26, you see within this kind of rubble metal, old, kind of corroded, and it looks like a large door. And as you look at the edges of this, you can see ripped from the actual bearings, there was a large iron gate, similar to the ones that you've seen separating the traveler section from others. It looks like it was thrown into the ceiling, and then the ceiling collapsed within that.
Then I think of the everlasting one, and I'm like, that's not a good thing. Kind of putting 2 and 2 together, and I don't know if that's what I should be doing, but
Why don't we check out the gates around, since this doesn't look very safe to do anything with that. Maybe we can see I kind of think the more agricultural side. That's the one that's to the left, correct?
Yes.
That's the one that makes me feel a little more safe than the other one called Someone's Folly in the giant name. Seems kind of riskier to me.
So are you saying that out loud?
Yeah, I'm just positing ideas here, being like, which
Kearns looks at you
agricultural area.
a little incredulously, and she says, do you not know anything about Arasta? Like the heavy hand, this like, you haven't heard the songs or anything like that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have not. All I've read is like a book.
Do you like go to tavern? Where are you from?
go on with information if you have it. No
Hey,
need to be rude.
sorry. No, I almost died yesterday.
Yeah, and now we're in this really cool place, and you're excited. I get it. It's just
So
like,
you-
whoa, but come on.
I know that you claim to have met Nilly Wenslow, right? The bard.
Yeah, we did.
So, I mean, he wrote a very famous song called Seven Dwarvish Angels. Perhaps you've heard of it.
Nope.
I immediately start sweating because I'm like, is it the Morwen song?
It is not the Morwen song.
I was like, oh.
Okay, so, Erasta the Heavy Hand, also known as Erasta Everbright, right? Mother to Stoddard Everbright, one of the first heroes that kind of had like a tradition. Very clerical clan, the Everbrights. So, anyways, she helped lead a revolt, and there's like a whole rebellion. It's very romanticized in story, so kind of hard to separate fact from fiction. But the people, the dwarves, were held captive by the giants, right? One of the things that the dwarves enjoyed doing was naming various things after the giants that they had defeated. So Jalog's Folly might be named after, a particularly cruel giant that they had defeated, and thus, it's kind of like a middle finger to the giants.
Sure. Okay. So that would probably be more of an area for celebration and pulling the cult or the community together, maybe like a town center equivalent.
I don't know, that's kind of where you lose me, but just in terms of like the historical relevance, I don't really know how historical accurate Mr. Winslow's songs are, but
They're not,
it-
not at all.
okay, well, you seem a
That's
little
what
bit
I've
defensive about that. I never heard him play myself, but the songs, they seem to have a mode of truth to them because he does travel a lot. But my guess is that there are, and she kind of looks at the map. Yeah, you look at some of these things, the gates, these are all like dwarvish names. So probably named after great heroes or important people within the revolution. And then, you got Jalog's Folly, you got, hang on one second here. You got,
Well, Everbright Ave. I mean, that's her name.
Yeah, no, so this whole
get it.
place was built to honor Erasta.
I get
The
it.
song says that stone by stone they built like a citadel to honor this Erasta, and so my guess is you will find a lot of things named after her, and if you do know anything about her life story, maybe it'll come into play. Probably fairly major historical events will have references throughout the city. Look, and he points to the map. There's a monument to Erasta in Jalog's Folly, actually.
Okay, so then it sounds like we should go this way, since that's the side you're talking about the most. I was fine with a garden, but if you want to go see a statue.
Well, no, the garden. The thing about that, if you look at it, it's one huge district, so fewer gates to go through, probably less terrain. I don't really know how they were growing things down here. That makes me a little nervous.
That makes me curious.
Well, the place that we were just in, when I looked back at night during the storm, there was like that tree thing. That thing was alive. And so
Right.
thinking about that and thinking about this, where you grow things that shouldn't grow, it makes me a little nervous. But, we could definitely try it. Alternatively, I could create a big path right through this rubble. I just don't know what that would do.
That doesn't seem safe. Let's try the folly. Let's try the folly.
That's already kind of, foreshadowing, it feels like. But, all right, we'll try the folly.
Look, it's... oh, my God.
Can't you
Have a...
ask your book.
Okay. What would you have me ask it?
How come you keep taking this book out and writing it every time like we get to a place we don't really understand where we're going?
It's full of answers.
Yeah, that's the short answer.
It's like an almanac.
It's a live almanac. Sure.
Huh. Okay, so some kind of like an artifact or something like that.
I don't know.
Huh. All right, well,
I have
keep
it.
your
It
secrets.
works. It's more, I don't question things that work if it's helped us for now.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not going to lead to any bad consequences down the road.
No, it never has
what
ever
I said.
before in my entire life. No, of course it has, but it's just something that I am. Until I understand it, I can't explain it. How about that?
Sure. No, that makes sense. You can't explain what you don't understand.
Right.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, I've noticed that. So, hey, are we going to continue? We want to go this way? We certainly can.
What
She
did
looks
you want me
over.
to ask the book? You had an idea.
How do we get there?
Okay, that's not gonna help.
How do we get to
Maybe
the Cold
like-
Forge? What's the directions? Give me
Go
specifics.
down.
Yeah, exactly. It's below you.
Draw the map on the book
Yeah.
and
Could
say,
could you give me
give me the we are here. How do we get to there?
Oh boy. Since I don't have any other,
Why are you
No,
asking me? I'm not the one who.
I'm not gonna ask anything yet. I think put it to a vote. I'm the only one positing ideas. I want to hear what everyone else has to say. Do we go through the garden area? Do we go through the Giant's Folly area?
Hey, Shay, you know what I noticed actually when I was up in Squall's End? You monks, you got a lot of wisdom. You know, I like Gamble. I talked to him a little bit. He seems like he's got his shit together. What do you think we should do?
Well, considering we're also looking for ore on the way, I would perhaps avoid the garden.
Okay,
Perfect.
the monk says no garden. What about you, Aka?
Whatever gets us there quickest. I don't
Okay,
really care.
about as helpful as normal. Morwen, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess killing a dragon to save your ass didn't matter, but okay.
I think a garden sounds pleasant.
So, Jalog's
I got
Folly,
this
it is
really
then-
cool. I got this really cool, multifaceted rock in my pocket. I'm gonna write a bunch of numbers on it and just roll it. And if it's an even number, then we're gonna go through the folly. If it's an odd number, we're gonna go through the garden. Seeing as how we can't come to a conclusion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
no,
makes
we'll go
sense for
through the
me.
folly.
Hey, look, it's an odd number. Folly.
All
Told
right.
you.
You guys begin to walk amongst the buildings and back the way you came. You turn left and head to the eastern kind of gate. It is marked as the Hammersmelt Gate. You see this. It is a hammer that is upside down, and you see it seems to be almost like melting into a perfectly circular pool. It seems to be a crest of some kind. This gate is large, 2 bars to open it. You'd imagine you would probably need 2 dwarves on each door to open it. However, Heinrich, you recently have come into the possession of an item that probably will help.
Yep. I will
You have
first
the
check.
power of 3 dwarves.
It's
How many
the-
dwarf power is that built?
It's the 3 dwarf belt, and I lift my shirt up, and it's just 3 dwarves like holding ankles and just like going around my stomach, and just like, let us go, let us go.
Oh my god.
I'm just kidding. It's really fucked up image, but I thought it was funny. All right, I'm gonna try to check the door first, see if it's locked and or intentionally barred.
Make an
Like
investigation
it's something
check.
dangerous being kept on the other side.
Sure, make an investigation check.
That's not gonna help.
Hmm.
It's probably
That's-
fine.
That's a 7. That's
Well,
the lowest. That's the
you're
lowest I
probably
can
fine.
fucking roll.
You kind of investigate this door. It is an intact door. You don't see any locks on it. These handles, long handles, they don't bend or turn, so it's probably just a pull door. It doesn't seem to be trapped or locked.
Okay, let's give it a go.
You gonna open it?
Pull it first, I guess.
Okay, make an athletics check. You pull, and immediately there is resistance. This is
Oh,
a
yeah, I'm
heavy
sure
door.
it's massive.
And I'm gonna help by pulling his tail.
Don't touch my tail.
Okay,
You
so
don't
we
like
go
it when I touch yours. You
disadvantage.
can't touch my. Yeah.
I don't care if you pull my tail.
It's-
Or if you touch my tail.
This is a weird place to talk about that. 18.
18. You walk up to this door and you grab the long iron handle. Bits of the rust you can feel come away on your fingers, but you pull. You can feel your fingers slide a little bit with this rust before they kind of stick, and the door slowly opens. There's no creak of iron, there's no scrape of stone. It is a well crafted door, but it is heavy.
Mhm.
But you move it, and it does open, and all of you can see beyond it. There is more of the city, although very different through this door. It is a long corridor that goes down. There are doors on either side as you go. Through each door, you know, through the map, there is an expanding series of caverns. Each one is like an address in the city. Very ranch style homes here. But you can certainly go through. You can see initially through this gateway, it does zig and zag through something that is marked as. Just 1 second. It is marked as the twist, but it is this kind of narrow area through which there are smaller buildings, and then it opens up into the much larger buildings, and then there's a monument somewhere within.
Does this look mainly residential?
Yes, first glance, individual doors. It's almost like just a really long hallway.
Mm-hmm. All right, everyone, keep an eye out for repositories that may keep metal, because again, I think that Diotic Metal is going to come in handy if we can find any. It was apparently here, something about a spear tip. Maybe it's on the statue. Who knows?
You guys begin to walk, keeping an eye out. Here and there, you pass doors that are open. These doorways lead into darkened chambers, and some of your more curious party members, I'd imagine more when you peek in one or two of them.
Absolutely.
You see scenes of interesting kinds of destruction. Here, whereas before you had seen these kind of ripped bits of leather and these skeletons that seem to have been flung and smashed, there is a different element here. You open one of these doors a little bit longer. Bits of the you have blind sense, so you actually hear a very familiar kind of skittering. The little creatures kind of moving off. Roughly the size of Doug, so perhaps rats, wombats, something of that nature. But
is there a wombat in every coal?
No, but so interestingly enough, typically places that would be good to build coals, places that have kind of thermal heating from within, those are places that wombats, or the kind of coal wombats, or the northern Dominion wombats live. Near thermal places that they can inhabit, so it makes sense. They're pretty. You will frequently find them amongst dwarven cities. They're pets. But more when you kind of see this long table, various chairs kind of broken or kind of turned over. You see one skeleton here. It's on the ground beneath this table. It's skeletal fingers wrapped around the skeletal area that a throat would be. It looks as if it's suffocated, or to you, Morwen, looks like perhaps he drowned. You having spent so much time at sea, you've seen it before. Weird. You look around at this place, definitely a residence. You can see another door that leads off into a hallway and other things beyond. You're also noticing there is mildew in this room. It's damper here. Continue to walk.
Food for the wombats.
Okay. Take out some bits of your kind of dried rations and leave them there for the wombats and head out. You guys continue to walk, and you see
I'll
more.
let you guys know that
Okay.
something strange happened. It looked like a kind of flood or something. Something. Room was mildewy, and dude looked like he drowned.
We were warned that this place is overlapping other elemental planes. One of them being ice, the other being fire. Something about that kind of loosely makes
You can't
sense to
drown
me.
in ice or fire. Silly.
Have you ever that thermos you have, right?
Yes.
When you put ice in it, what happens?
It turns into water. But yeah, but I'm just saying you can't drown in ice.
Oh
You
my
can drown in water.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
let's
you're
keep
both right.
going. Let's keep going.
You guys continue to
Dummy.
walk. An hour passes, and you're just passing. It's this single hallway that slowly curves. You walk. Some doorways are open. This is largely residential, but after about 2 hours, you come
Wow.
to a portion. Yeah, this is a huge section. The Everbright brand, in total, takes about 8 hours to walk around, if there are no complications. You come to an area where it's like a towering negative space within this cavern. Suddenly, as you're walking, if you're not paying very attention, your sound throws you off. The sound, this very narrow space, you hear your footsteps echoing off the walls, and suddenly to the right, it's as if you go deaf, because it is this big expanse of space. Turning and looking into it, you can see a 20-foot tall statue. It is made of beautiful, it's geometric glass that is fused together with beautiful elements of metal. You've never seen something like this. Similar in ways to things you've seen in Yorn. Akka, you do recognize this. This is Fazarakian techniques. These are dragonborn markings. This is something very interesting. And Akka, as your eyes take it, who amongst you reads Draconic?
Oh, I think I do.
So you check
Yeah.
Akka. Okay, so
Yeah, I
Akka,
do.
you can read this in pure Draconic, and Heinrich, the jagged runes of Draconic rearrange themselves for you. But there's a plaque that reads, Fazarak will remember Erasta Everbright. When the dwarves of small mountains call, Fazarak will answer. You can see depicted in this glass statue is Erasta, the Heavy Hand. She has 7 braids, one for each of these angels that you've heard mentioned. You actually see, as your eyes kind of take in this space, in the back of this chamber, there are 7 statues of angels, dwarven angels. You can see one of her hands wears a massive, like Hellboy style gauntlet, and it rests over this huge, like a warhammer with its the head of it kind of resting up against the ground. You can see on the wrists there are manacles, and on the ankles there are manacles, but they are broken. Heinrich, you have detect magic up. Something behind this statue does emit a faint glow. You kind of turn and follow. There's something within the space. Give me just 1 second. There is a like a banner that kind of is behind the statue. If you enter the space, you can kind of turn and look if you would like.
Yeah, curiosity's getting the better of me for sure.
Okay. You walk in. As you do, these statues, these angelic statues, there's something magical to them as well. As you close within range, the range is 30 feet.
Of detect magic?
Yeah.
Double check that. Correct.
Within these statues, as you close within 30 feet, bright green conjuration magic on each. And you see in the ground these faint lines that lead back to this banner. This banner, what you see, is encased in crystal that also glows with a powerful magical aura. Evocation.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a very protected case, but within there is a banner, beautiful 3-foot-long tapestry of silk and gold leaf. The gold leaf makes dwarven runes that read Clan Waker. This item, powerfully magical. Before even the evocation of this glass or this crystalline kind of container, more than even the conjuration, this is the thing that you could see even through the glass of this statue. It is a powerful magical item. You get the sense that there is conjuration involved. You get the sense that there is something within this that will simply make you stronger should you possess it and become attuned to it. Not stronger physically, but perhaps in a different way. There is something very interesting about this, but so too there seems to be a darkness that hangs over this banner.
Yeah. This is the do not touch or transgress kind of shit we were warned about. That's my feeling.
In this monument, this seems to be an artifact of great, great cultural significance.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Akka, come check this out.
I do so.
You come over.
You like cool, weird magic shit as much as I do, but you seem better at understanding and knowing what they are.
Does this look like anything that I would have heard about from the
Make a history
collective?
check. So they have a missive on this item.
That is... I think it's gonna be good. That's a dirty 20.
Dirty 20? Yeah, you've read about the Clan Waker banner because it is a fairly legendary item. The Clan Waker banner can be utilized in a number of ways. It could be worn as a cloak, a tabard, even a belt or a headband. But you've heard that utilizing this item, this legendary item that's spoken about, and even within the little missive that you have in that beautiful kind of bound pale wood. There isn't a description of this item. Nobody knows what it really looks like. This is something that's been talked about. But apparently, you are able to utilize this banner to pull the spirits lost during that revolution against the giants to aid you. You would imagine equipping this as an item will increase your wisdom score. And you would imagine that whenever you make a wisdom saving throw, it may pull some of these spirits in to aid you as well.
Is this also, does it seem like it's maybe the source of what brings the spirits back in the Hall of Heroes? Or is that something that's separate from this?
It seems to be separate. And you also are remembering there are a lot of legends that this item is cursed. By the very virtue of that which grants it power, the souls of these dwarves who have died, there is
Are restless
probably...
souls?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I'm going to be particularly wary of this item.
Okay. You do so.
Are you telling us everything?
Yeah, I think I'd be like, oh, that's... And then I would say all of the stuff about the Clan Waker banner that I know about.
Well,
And
that
be like,
sounds awful. Maybe we should destroy it and let all the souls free.
that's not...
Destroy the
It's
banner!
Not how
No.
curses are broken usually.
No.
Aw.
Yeah, that's not a.
If only it were that simple.
Remember how you said you were going to try to be nice? I think that was a mean thing. This
What?
is an
It's letting
important
people
object.
free.
Well
think they're trapped in it.
intentioned.
Maybe they're in the threading.
You can see Karan's kind of just observing this interaction. You know, again, not like a scholarly kind of wizard, but I don't think it works like that. I think when
It
a soul is
doesn't.
trapped somewhere, if you bring it back, I mean, I don't want to like rain on anybody's parade here or anything. I know you're close to the guy. That grung that you guys brought back from the dead, kind of fucked up. Like, I don't really know what's wrong with them, but
I
like,
didn't mean to bring them back. I just meant if they're bound to this. Like, I don't know. It sounded kind of crappy. That's
Just
all.
because you're bound to something doesn't mean you're free from it once it's destroyed.
And also, like, magical items, they're hard to break. And the more magical they are, the harder they are to break. And I don't know, like, if you don't have a sense of magic, really, I don't think. But this is real fucking magical.
Like 1 to 10, how magical?
11.
Oh, that it's very magical.
She looks at you. Hang on. Okay, she just looks at you and kind of nods.
I nod back.
She believes
I
you for what
understand.
it's worth. Yeah, she believes that you know numbers. It's not like a very far-fetched thing, but it's also not true. So yeah, you that is what you know.
I don't think we should mess with this.
I agree.
I agree.
Let's
I
Great.
think we
take
should
note of it.
That's
Come.
with this, and I grab. No, I don't.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. On the statue itself, too, there's no spear tips, right?
You don't
No.
see any kind of spear tips now.
Okay. Just randomly, anything of interest.
Certainly.
Continuing. This is all awesome. I am just loving this history here. This is great. But we should probably keep moving.
This place is boring.
It's a lame field trip. You guys
All the lights
continue
are
to
off.
walk. Yeah, all the
So-
lights are.
From here, are we near the next tunnel entrance to the middle?
You are. You can actually see it from here. It is still several hundred feet down.
Yeah.
So actually, for all those of you with dark vision, you can see like the doorways kind of becoming to an end. So you don't quite see the gate. But if you continue to walk another 10 minutes, it looms into sight. This is the Emberwield Gate. And as you draw close to it, similar in structure to the other ones, this crest is this. Hang on one second, let me find it here. Emberwield. They have like looks like a blazing sun almost atop a torch. Also, faint paint on this door crimson and gold, although it is mostly flaked away at this point. I will say, for all of you, having been traveling through the cold of the north, you're suddenly aware that it's warmer. Much warmer by this door.
Yeah. Something fiery, spooky on the other side, maybe. Remember,
Beyond this,
wandering
you know-
elementals in danger.
Beyond this, the section is known as Ard Sotren. It is the Avenue of the Prodigal Summer.
Or maybe it's just warm because it's named after summer.
Yeah, maybe.
Could
knows?
also be close to the point connecting to the plane of fire.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, are we ready to open this door? We're gonna encounter danger at some point here.
Could be a
just
summer
inevitable.
shack.
That door.
Good? All good?
Nah, I think we should
Heinrich,
go
make an
around.
athletics check.
All right, let's try it. Here we go.
Heinrich steps up to the door.
Oh.
I'll pull your tail.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
It's only an 11.
11? Okay.
I rolled pretty bad.
You, you put your back into the door. A little bit open.
I'm gonna just turn around and be like, look,
Struggle.
I'm the only one who's been trying these doors. Does anyone want to lend a hand here?
I
They're not
will.
made
I
for
will
one
try to yank
person.
your tail.
Thank you.
I will help.
Heinrich, make that roll at advantage. So roll
Thank
one
you,
more time.
Shay. Thank you, Shay.
Yeah.
All right, 18, much better.
18. Again, you haul it open heavy, and this door does have more unnatural resistance. Little crumbling bits that kind of fall away. Stone on the other side, a dark stone. However, you open this and you can see this long hallway, very similar to the other one, a little wider. It's very well carved, kind of networks of more middle class housing. The doorway is a little further apart, indicating larger chambers, maybe wider spread out. The walls here are a little bit different. It's still kind of this granite, but you can see the color a little different. None of you have stone cutting, but a little bit more red in hue. You can see there are these kind of shelves of raw rock that rise up to form walls and kind of like bends in this 15-foot tall tunnel. Some of these walls, there are busts of really powerful looking dwarvish figures. You can see from some of these, what are they called? Some of these busts are actually animals from the north. Things like polar bears, walrus, larger kind of almost like guardians. These seem like. But you see this hallway stretch on and kind of slowly arc and turn as the others one did, and it is warmer here. What would you like to do?
So warmer, as if we're getting closer to the forge, even though it's the cold forge. So it's
Make a perception check.
Does this feel like natural air or unnatural air?
natural 20.
Natural 20. So Akka kind of looks up and kind of sniffs it. It feels not unnatural, like it doesn't feel exceptionally hot. It's just a little warmer. But you don't smell sulfur. You don't smell anything that would hint of thermal activity. You don't smell smoke. That is weird in and of itself. You kind of look, and further up, there's an area where the hallway branches off, and kind of like you saw before, it is like 3 roads. There are like buildings in the middle, which are just like networks of rooms, kind of in the natural rock. 2 long avenues, and then one in the middle. All just kind of houses that go off this central kind of hall. Going through and on the middle, if you guys want to continue to walk, it gets a little bit warmer. And you're aware that there is smoke, although scentless, which is very odd. You guys walk for about an hour. Is there anything that you're doing over the course of this time?
Are we walking towards the smoke?
It seems to be, because it's getting warmer as you go.
Diotic Metal.
Make a perception check as you walk.
Look.
Yeah.
Anyone else, please?
Yeah,
I'm not
I
the
mean, I
first to
think
be
I would
doing
have
this.
been keeping an eye out for any sort of signs of diotic metal since.
Because I rolled
Yeah.
a wonderful 7.
Okay, so you don't see any Diotic Metal. You don't see much of anything.
Oh.
Morwen?
Well, I'm gonna. I
It's
guess
a
I'm-
natural 20.
Okay, we'll get back to that.
Oh, is it?
For well, no, because if there's smoke, then something's probably creating that smoke. So I guess I'm looking for life forms
Okay, make a perception check.
aside from wombats and little ratties.
Okay,
However, if I do find them, I would be very happy about it.
I'll note it. Shay, you don't find any Diotic Metal. You walk, you see doors pass. Aka, you want to say something?
Oh, no, it's fine.
You go past various doors, some of them still open, and you can see much bigger, like buildings, kind of networks of rooms on the inside, a little bit more ornate, better furniture, some of it broken, some of it charred. But weirdly, and when you go in, if you kind of lean into these rooms, you can smell old smoke, very stale smoke, probably fairly long time ago. But it's not, you don't smell like a fuel source. This is not necessarily a campfire that started this. You don't smell oil. Peculiar. And Shay, you become much more alert and you kind of start watching. And there are areas here and there on the ground where you see tiny little bits of black stone, obsidian, volcanic rock. And then ahead of you, as you guys continue to walk into that second hour, the ground you can see here and there ahead of you at the very periphery of your vision as it enters 60 feet ahead, rises up a little bit, shards of this black stone. Much warmer here. And Shay, you're beginning to get the sense that you're moving towards an open volcanic activity, although peculiarly, again, no sulfur smell, no smell of impurities. Heinrich, assuming that your compatriots are talking to you about this,
Yes.
you get the sense that should you be heading towards a rift to the elemental plane of fire, you don't recall there being the smell of burning impurities around those azers. Of the things that could burn just purely without imperfection, that would be a scentless smoke. And looking up, you can see this very pale smoke going overhead. Does not have a scent. There is elemental fire somewhere ahead.
Mm-hmm. I warn everyone. All right, on your guard.
It seems like we're on the right path, at least.
Yep.
See, Kranza touches
So.
the stone, it shifts, and then you hear, you guys don't see the dark, but suddenly, as the light shifts into this kind of dull red, Kranza stops walking, and you can hear from behind you. Yeah, guys, I'm ready to fight, but I can't see anything now.
I'll grab her hand and put it on my shoulder.
Okay, so she
I don't want
follows
to give
you.
away our position. I would light something, but I don't want to do that yet.
Yeah, and underneath you can see very quietly, no, I get that. You guys continue to creep forward, slowly. And then you hear Kranza again. Oh, I can kind of see now. And those of you with dark vision can see little bits of color as you begin to round a warm glow. Slowly coming into view, you see shards of shiny black stone that seem to descend and then point upwards, like lava bursting and then drying as it goes up. You can see bubbling away actively an open volcanic fissure in the ground. Rupturing up, you can see elements of the building nearby flowing upwards, bricks scattered, charred bodies kind of scattered around this. It looks as if something erupted from underneath. Still bubbling away. You can see an opening, and it does descend down. You could theoretically drop into this volcano. However, you could also walk around it. Pick very carefully, as it does span most of this hallway. And on the other side, you see shards of volcanic rock continue, but you could pick through that.
I don't want to drop.
Given
Don't
that's...
want to drop.
we don't want to go into the volcano, I suggest we go around.
Yeah, agreed. As carefully as we can. Well,
Shay, roll a
you can
d20
just
for
kind
me.
of float over there, but we'll pick our way across.
Actually, since he's
17?
Okay, interesting.
For
Go ahead,
what?
Morwen. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Fair enough.
Wait, how big's the volcanic opening?
About 15 feet tall. It's roughly at an angle too, so it's not like straight up or straight down. It's kind of like at a weird angle. but you can see it does drop down. You see dried elements of the black stone reflecting the fire and the magma that bubbles underneath, and you could hear it bubbling. Very much active, but looking in, and it's hard to look, it's hot as you get closer, but you do see elements of dried black stone beneath. There are elements you could drop into, theoretically. It seems as if you could travel within this volcano, go to the other side, or you could travel on top of it through these shards of black stone. But with a passive perception of 20, Shay, and I believe Akka, what is yours? 19?
Something close to that, yeah, I think.
With a passive of 19 or above, amongst these rocks, you notice flickering firelight, but it shifts, like somebody carrying a much larger flame source than a lantern amongst these black rocks. You don't hear sounds, you don't hear footsteps, but you see this light kind of change directions as it moves.
That's under us? Or like reflecting from under
reflecting
us?
from these shards that go up. So should you go over or around this volcano, it seems as if something moves beyond within these shards of black obsidian that jut out like fingers from the ground.
If you want, I can go up first and see what happens.
Yeah, if you wanted to scout ahead.
Yeah,
see
I'm
what-
not gonna go first, so
you can see now, so you don't need her to hold on to, right?
yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
I can
Now
see.
we
I
all-
can see.
I can see, you see.
I mean, yeah, if you're willing, I think that sounds
Just
like a
being one of the nimblest of us, I feel it's probably
absolutely
the
good
smartest.
use of your skills.
What do you mean? And I fall into the volcano.
What do you mean? I die.
So Shay, you go ahead. So how do you want to go over this volcano? From the opening, there's maybe like 2 feet on either side, roughly, and on the right side, you'd actually have to climb over the part that juts up a little bit. There is maybe like 5 feet clearing the top from the ceiling that partially is like kind of bowed up. You'd imagine slowly is kind of like formed a little bit of a higher rise above this place.
I mean, make my way through as nimbly as possible.
Make an acrobatics check.
How's a 28?
You see Shay leap once, not over the volcano, but onto one of these kind of jagged shards of obsidian and bunch her legs underneath her, kind of coiling for a second, almost defying physics as you jut off at a weird angle and then propels like a missile through the smoke that rises up, this faint, kind of pale smoke, scentless as you go through it, but hot, Shay. These shards of obsidian by you as you travel roughly 60 feet through the space, kind of touching elements of this obsidian and picking your way through. You go from flying to almost running, never really touching the ground. After 60 feet, you kind of come to a stop holding on to one of these things, and you can see in front of you brightly this fire kind of transitioning as it goes. You see a large fiery shape, and you can hear this kind of as this fire, as it crackles through, just kind of disappear. This creature of pure fire, seeming to be maybe 40 feet ahead of you, walking through these jagged bits of obsidian. But because it is midnight, this is where we're going to end for this week. So thank you guys very much for hanging out with us during session 75 of Adventures in Alberon. This group finally made it to Kol Erasta, the Cold Forge, and has begun to travel through. So yeah,
I think we'd only heard about this like literally a year and a half ago.
Yeah. So
this is like found a coin from that place. No, that was actually on our way to Culturon. But like, didn't we hear about it in like this or Sunrest Isles or something?
The first time that you heard of the Cold Forge, I think you guys were in Port Quinn. It was like before. It was pre-stream.
Yeah.
Okay. The Cold Forge has been established since before the campaign started.
Yeah. There you go.
But yeah, so great. So thank you guys for hanging out, joining us for this D&D game. I can't really express how fun it is to be able to just like play D&D and people watch, and that's like super cool. But we'll be back, I believe. Are we all back next week? Question mark. We'll be back next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. But until then, stay safe out there. It is getting nicer out, and so it's harder to stay in and socially distance. As as things open up, be mindful and be careful. But stay safe. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.